Hello, human peoples. You're listening to the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. To support us and gain access to great exclusive podcasts like Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and our latest show, Spiel Boys, head over to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We do game streaming, movie nights with our patrons every Friday night, and you can even commission your own podcast about anything you want. Literally anything, within reason, and we have to do it. You are quite frankly out of excuses not to go visit patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds. Welcome to BloodRayne, a podcast about sexy vampires.
We're pumped.
Got so pumped.
We're pumped. We're pumpers.
So
We're a couple of pumpers.
You know what? We would have been a great addition to this film. This is one of the first times I ever watched a movie and been like, I should have been in this.
Yeah. Adam, let me tell you.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell any of these honkies apart.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. This is the first time in a very long time when I was like, I don't know if I've ever heard a person's name in this movie.
Yeah.
Except for the writer, the fastidious writer
and
character.
Rain.
And Rain, yes, of course.
Yeah. So good policy. Good way to make a movie. Make it shoot it really dark. Make everybody look and dress the same, and don't use anybody's names.
You can't even tell who's a vampire and who's not in this movie.
No.
You don't know who the fuck is anybody.
Because once again, there seems to be no advantage to being a vampire.
Right.
The vampires get shot by bullets and die, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. That's what that happens a lot in this film.
It does.
They get shot by
But
bullets and die.
Yeah. There is absolutely no way to follow the plot of this movie. Which
There really
is, of course,
yeah.
BloodRayne 2 Deliverance.
Deliverance. It had the audacity to be subtitled.
Because that's the name of the town that they were allowed to film in. My assumption is that they found a town that had Deliverance on a sign, and they're like, well, that's the movie.
Well, your assumption is probably not wrong. As stupid as it is, it's probably not wrong. Because I watched a behind-the-scenes featurette because I had a little extra time this morning. And I learned that the screenwriters showed up to set and were told, this is the location, write it to fit this.
Yeah, that checks out.
As in, like... And, like, the interview with them was, like, on set, they were writing the script.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what we're dealing with. Yeah, that's what we're dealing with here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, all right. Boy, this is a direct-to-DVD. 2009, I want to say.
Yeah. This movie is so bad that it almost isn't, like, this is definitely a thing we wouldn't talk about if we didn't love pain so much.
Yes,
Like
this is an unremarkable film.
It's not even just that it's not even good bad. It's like just like what?
This movie is so bad, I had trouble opening the DVD. They had that sleeve, and the sleeve was glued to the DVD.
Yeah.
So you couldn't get out of the sleeve.
Yeah.
And I just tore the sleeve off. I ripped it off.
Yeah.
And then there's an ad for the movie Postal that they make you watch, and that's depressing.
It was the most. That was the most violent and satisfying thing that happened in the whole process of this film.
Yeah.
Was you ripping that DVD cover?
Oh,
open.
Absolutely. The credits are straight out of an iDVD menu.
Yeah, I was gonna say
those credits were a bummer.
You can't do lazier than that. Like you really can't. It's like it's literally just here's a still of a western town, and like before we show it to you, we're gonna do a kind of a lazy camera pan over it, and then here's the wide, and they did that over and over. Here's lazy camera pan,
And it's like
here's
in
the wide.
sepia.
And
the font was so basic.
Yeah.
It was instantly, like, you could instantly tell the budget was considerably lower than a movie that already had a low budget.
It couldn't have been more than $5 million. I'd be shocked.
Oh, man, yeah. I'd be shocked.
Yeah.
I could see it costing like $1 million. Like, it just feels so fucking... The biggest star they have is one of the kids from A Christmas Story.
Yeah, Scott Farkas. Farkas is the bad guy.
Yeah, that's the bad guy who is Billy the Kid,
Yeah.
a 100-year-old vampire from Transylvania.
Okay, yeah.
You know Billy Kid with his classic Transylvanian accent?
Wow, what I couldn't figure out what exactly happened here. Like, it took me a little while to realize, oh, this guy's Billy the Kid.
Yeah.
And it took me even longer to realize, wait, they're presuming that he's from Transylvania?
Yeah.
Like,
that's
they never
the
say
legend.
it. Yeah, it's like, do they say it? Do they say that?
At the end, she goes to Tombstone, and it's another like famous gang of that are vampires, and it's like, what world are you writing here?
Yeah, well, he's trying to Tarantino it, right? Like, he's trying to retro.
Yeah, I guess
retro vamp it. You know, he's trying to revamp history. That's what he's doing, and it's. I would say it's not working.
No, I would say it's not working either.
I would say it's not working much. My first note was this film is much, much worse from the very first frame.
Yep.
Like, in terms of just quality of image, quality of writing, quality of acting.
Do you mean the credits, or do you mean like the actual film? It looked like it was shot on like 16 millimeter.
Yes, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yes.
It
was
It
not
is
lit
grainy
well.
and shitty.
The location is not picturesque. It's like very rudimentary. Like, it's the kind of thing that like a student film would be stoked they got this town.
Yes.
You
And
know?
it very much feels like a student film in that
Yeah.
they whip out almost every Wild West trope, even if it doesn't feel appropriate.
Correct.
They're like, we got a Western town. Ooh, the bumbling reporter. Let's get him front and center. And it was like, oh no.
Yeah, I was
I
like, that's in one movie that I know of, and it was like a little bit in that movie, you know?
Yep.
Why do you feel like, why are we building the whole film around this character? It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. It's a reporter from Chicago who's like, I need a Wild West story. And then the vampires are like, here's your story, pal. And they like let him live to like tell the story, which is weird considering that his plan is to secretly turn everybody into vampires. Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
I mean, first of all, you've leapt ahead of so many things to even make that point. You're completely right. I would say, if I had to wager who has the most lines in the movie, I think it's that writer.
Yeah, it might be.
I think that writer has the most lines in the movie.
Yeah,
why?
I mean,
why? That's so dumb.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Why any of this?
Yeah, why all of it? Yeah.
So to go through this, it starts with like a Weasley family, like a bunch of Weasleys, and they
like they're in a cabin someplace.
Yeah,
like shacked up in a cabin for the winter, you know, struggling with life. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They hear the horses freaking out, and he's like, "That damn bear's back," and leaves.
Right.
And then no noises from outside, and then the wife is like, "I better go out." Yeah. And oh no, the wife hears whooshing.
Right,
like whooshing,
like ghoulish whooshing. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, "What's that?"
I'll go check it out.
The kids are like, "We better get under the bed."
Yep.
It's like, why?
Yeah. What's going on?
Yeah.
Is
what
it
do you?
The bear? Do you think it's the bear or not?
Is that
Has
a
the
bear
bear learned
defense?
to fly?
Right.
Yeah.
You know. Okay. So that leads to my very first massive question. There's going to be a few. My first one is: does everybody know what vampires are in this world this time?
Don't.
Do we know?
They seem
about
to.
They do.
seem to.
Yeah. They
when
do
we get to
seem
the recruitment section, which is, boy, a lot of questions for the recruitment section. But she seems to just go, I need you to help me hunt vampires. And people go, oh, okay.
Yes. That is a
They don't
need.
question
I
it.
see that.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, that means, so then retrofitting that knowledge to this moment, so they must have known vampires because of the whooshing sound. Right?
I guess, yeah.
Right? They must have known that,
And
right?
they're like, damn, it's those damn vampires.
It's vampires again.
Well, there's a lot of. Why is BloodRayne connected to this town at all? Later,
yeah,
she's
bro.
like, I'm here looking for my friends, and I'm like, your friends.
That's number 2. That's the big question. Number 2. Why is she even here?
Why are the vampires even there?
Right.
Why is this their plan? So the idea is this town of Deliverance is building a railroad. And by building, I mean a shot of people smashing pickaxes against an already built railroad. Did you notice that? It's amazing. It's amazing.
It was like, man, you really think the audience is very, very dumb. Like, oh, that's how railroads are built. Just hitting a railroad that's already there.
It's not only a completely built railroad, it's like ingrown.
Yeah,
it's like
it's
clearly
old.
like time worn. Yeah. And they just have people slamming a pickaxe against random parts of the railroad. Not even like the right areas.
It's the opposite of how all their weapons should be. It's like the railroad is sort of how their weapons should be. Aged, used, seen a fight or two. The railroad should be brand spanking new, and it's the opposite. They traded places.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it really is amazing.
Yeah. So these Weasleys their parents are killed, and then Billy the Kid comes in and steals the kids.
Very anime. Like, he's got a very anime, never looking at camera for the first half.
He really is. He has that anime like stance and like this big edgelord hat.
Yep, hiding his eyes from camera. So you're like, what does he really look like? And you know that you're going to find out when Spike finally gets there or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, should know that Billy tries several chairs, too, in this house. He, like, sits on the bed and starts talking and then gets up and sits somewhere else. Yeah.
He just was like, that's not comfortable enough for this speech. I need to get comfortable. He does a lot of speeches from chairs, by the way. That's not the only time he does it.
No.
He does it incredibly at the very end of the film.
He saw the first BloodRayne and was like, to be like Ben Kingsley, I must sit.
Thank you for saying that. In the behind the scenes, the actor said, this is the only part where I can say I'm better than Ben Kingsley. I did better than Ben. Yes, he says it all. Dude, it's on your DVD. If you haven't thrown it into the sun yet, go check that shit out. It's there, bro.
Is it because Ben Kingsley clearly didn't give a shit?
Yeah.
So is this actor like, jokes on Ben Kingsley?
I did better than him here.
I tried hard and really needed this part.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't say that, but that's absolutely what's implied.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's one of those
amazing
things, like,
that they're like, we're sticking it to the first BloodRayne with this one.
Yeah, they all say in the behind the scenes, we didn't even watch the first BloodRayne. Like, we don't care. It has nothing to do with this. And
that's
it's like,
so funny.
Why? Why?
Yeah. Do you think this is better? That's amazing. I love it when a bad film like dunks on a marginally better film. It reminds me of like when that Terminator Genesis was like, we're rewriting everything from T2. Forget T2. And it's like, really?
That's a huge
that's
mistake.
the good movie.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. I would say this film is almost the same in quality as the first one. Like, it has less money and it has worse casting, but ultimately, is it really that much worse? I'd say no.
No, it's all the same.
Yeah, it's all the same. Yeah.
Both films feel like they understand the broad strokes of a plot, but they don't understand how to make it work. Like, again, it's a classic Western. It's stranger comes into town. There's a bad presence in the town. You know, it's like, the town. It's like The Quick and the Dead. You know, where it's like, it's run by a madman, and then you're cast out, and you have this low point, and you're nursed back to health for no good reason, and then you're like, I got to put together a crew of outcasts. The outcasts get together, and you go back into the town to save the town. It's all those broad strokes. It's just. They don't know how to actually execute it.
Yeah, you just don't care about it, as opposed to other films where you do.
Yeah, you know? Because they don't pay any attention to the actual characters.
Yeah, you don't know who anybody is. You don't know who anybody is or what they want. I could not name, except for Billy the Kid, I could not name a single character's actual want. Maybe the writer, too. The writer and Billy the Kid.
I don't quite understand Billy the Kid's want.
I don't either. I don't either.
I get the broad idea of what he's doing, but so what we're setting up here is that he kidnaps the kids, and then they show him kidnap other kids. And what we later learn, man, I think I wrote it down, is they say his plot, which is to
use the train station to be a breeding hub to make vampires spread across the United States.
Yes.
That's the idea.
Yes. And so then they say, and it should be noted, he's not just kidnapping the kids, he's killing the parents. And then someone says...
Some of the parents, not all of them.
Some of the parents.
Yeah.
But they say he has to keep things looking normal. That's why he took all those kids hostage. And I was like, what?
Dude.
And then and I thought they were setting up like, he's using the kids as leverage so the people in the town have to act normal. But then someone adds, so they have something to feed on while they wait. So he's not... Like, at first I was like, oh, he's taking the kids hostage to be like, everybody act like you're normal or I'll kill your kids. But then he's just eating the kids. So
that honestly, I swear to God, Dave, this is the first time I've ever thought, is this like a coded metaphor for pedophilia? Like, and actually entertained it. Like, actually entertained, that might be what this film is trying to say.
I have no idea.
Because
if it
it's
is,
like,
it's not a good one.
Well, but dude, think about what he's doing. He's staying alone with these kids. He's clearly abusing these kids. And everybody says and looks away. Like, nobody does anything or says anything about it. They all just like, sure,
Right.
no problem.
At the end, spoilers, at the end, the kids get returned. And one of the kids says something like to her mom, Sally didn't make it. And the mom just goes, I know, honey, I know.
Right.
and then it's like, so we're not going to mourn the kids, huh?
Yeah, they just did not. Like, so this was like such a heartless film.
Yeah.
Like toward children. Like, you watch children get killed several times. And it's
You
like,
do.
why are we watching this? And like, I just couldn't
It's not-
get it. I couldn't get
It's
it out of
not
my head.
upsetting. It's just like, it's
Well-
just like, what a waste. I was more upset by the child actors having to be involved.
Yes.
Like, it's just like,
Yes.
don't bring kids into your shitty
I don't want
BloodRayne
to see
movie.
this. Yeah.
These kids probably think they're in a real movie, and then they're going to be so bummed when they actually see the movie that came out.
I found it a little troubling because, like, the point of view of the person making it was troubling. Like, just the way that the children were being depicted and used was, I just thought it was very disturbing. Like,
It is.
legitimately,
It's
like,
weird.
why are you doing this? And like, no, yeah, it really laid
again,
bad
it's
for
not-
me the whole time.
It's
Laid
not
bad.
disturbing like I don't know, Hereditary. It's not disturbing where it's like, here's a disturbing depiction of a kid dying, because it's not believable or good. It's more, again, disturbing in the sense that it's just like, get away from the kids movie.
Yeah, don't do
Get
this.
away from these kids. Yeah.
But also like, think about what you're saying. You know what I mean? Think
Yeah.
about what you're trying to say with this film, because he didn't. It doesn't feel like, you know.
No.
Yeah. That's
It's-
why I started
yeah.
to think, like, is this guy telling on himself? Because this is a very weird thing for Billy the Kid to do.
Yeah.
Right?
No, and it's also nonsense.
Right.
It's such, because, again, just to be clear, their plan is to convert the town into vampires and then create like a vampire stop that like converts people on the train. First of all, why do vampires want to create a bunch of other vampires? That doesn't seem right.
Yeah, like, does he mind control them all? Is he like king of the thralls here?
I don't know, man. Yeah, I
Right.
think they say an army, but then his plan is kidnap all the kids just to have snacks. And it's like, why?
Right.
And he's like, that way people won't notice that the town is run by vampires. And it's like, oh, I think they'll notice even more if you're killing all their kids.
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
right. I like, as far as I know in human history, that's one of the ways to drive a town crazy.
Right.
Is to take and murder all their children. Like,
Right.
I don't think that's gonna play, man.
No,
yeah.
it's like the most noticeable population to steal. Like,
Right.
if he was stealing like the homeless or like the drunks or something like that, the disenfranchised, I'd go, oh, I get it. There's a Star Trek TNG episode where they do that. Like, that would make sense, but they're not doing that.
Yeah, even the sex workers would have made sense. Like,
Right.
there's so many groups of people that you could have picked that would have made it more innocuous. He picked the worst
Right.
possible one.
Right. Or at least would have made it so that they're like, yeah, see, they thought no one would notice. They didn't respect this group of people. But children, yeah, that's a big red flag.
Yeah, yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
I would say that was the thing that was the least thought through and worst thing about this movie to me.
Yeah.
Like that I thought, like, just right up top, like, this is really bad. He should not have done this.
It's really bad.
Yeah, it's really bad.
But we're
And
not
also-
even at that yet.
We're not even at. No, go ahead, please, Dave.
Yeah.
Let's get us on the rails.
No, we're still on the journalist where so they set up like an interview with a vampire situation where Billy the Kid
Yeah.
hypnotizes the mayor, who's just like, oh, my house is your house. I think he hypnotizes him and just like takes over the town. The reporter tries to interview him immediately, and he's just like, I just want to say what's happening here. And again, doesn't make sense. This is supposed to be something he's doing in secret, Billy the Kid. And then he says, and he lets him live and says, bear witness to the greatest story ever told.
greatest
And
story ever told. I wrote that down.
I doubt that. I highly doubt that.
I wrote that. Yeah, I wrote, U-Bowl maybe shouldn't call his shot so hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, maybe want to call it a little softer than that.
Right.
But, of course, it wouldn't be him if he didn't.
Yeah, of course. My God.
Yeah, so just a quick note, the mayor chickened out is what happened. The mayor looked him in the face.
He looks at him, there's like a noise, and I was like, is he hypnotizing him? What's going on here?
Right. It's not clear because they do start to give Billy the Kid actual magic powers toward the end of the film.
Yeah.
They never give you a broad, parentheses around what he can and can't do. And this is the first time they seem a little more magic than they did in the first one.
A little more, but
he does.
Okay, I do want to establish this. What happens in this part is the mayor, whoever runs the town, does the classic draw and shoots Billy the Kid and shoots him in the chest many times, and Billy the Kid doesn't even flinch. I want to bring that up now because it's important for the end.
Because why doesn't it kill him? Yeah, why?
Right.
Why not him specifically?
Well, they say he's like a special boy,
right?
And so they've established bullets don't even hurt him, right? That's what they've established.
That's right. They did.
Spoilers. They don't hurt him unless they need them to hurt him.
Right. This is a plot bullet, sir. I hope you're. Yeah. So take off your plot bulletproof vest. That is exactly what it's completely ludicrous. The other thing that happens in this section that was, I thought, confusing is that he bites and it seems like kills the sheriff. Right, and the sheriff is the only character up to this point who I was like, well, that guy, he's overacted, but at least he's fun. Like, he's a fun character. He leaves the saloon and talks about how he's going to go to sleep with his rifle, a thing that I was like, well, with any other movie, that would be funny. In this movie, could be actually happening. Not sure what he means. And then he gets bitten by Billy the Kid, and he slumps over, and I'm like, oh, they killed the sheriff. And then a couple scenes later, nope, the sheriff's just now with Billy the Kid, and it never really establishes.
They never show him turn.
He is a vampire now. Yes, so we don't know for sure that that's what happened.
I mean, I assumed he was a vampire.
Too. Yes,
but show the scene because you establish rules. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Later, someone says it'll turn you as long as they don't rip your throat out or something. But they never. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
he also bites the kids, and the kids don't turn,
and they die. Right. So when he bites a kid, they die. We see a bunch of people get bit. The sheriff's the only one I think that we see get bit that also survives. Right. And so of course, I've seen vampire stuff before, so I assumed that he had turned.
But again, when other people don't turn, then you're okay, well, again, it's so. This is jumping ahead a little bit, but BloodRayne shoots someone. And they vampire crumble, and she mumbles something. By the way, I couldn't fucking understand a word anybody was saying.
Yep.
She has a toothpick in her mouth half the time, and I was like, take the fucking toothpick out of your mouth so I can hear what you're saying. She mumbles something about garlic and holy water after she shoots this vampire and he crumbles, and she says something like, that'll do it. So okay, so you rubbed garlic and holy water on your bullet.
Right.
So they establish a rule, just like they do with biting the sheriff, and then they completely ignore that rule for the rest of the movie. So and it's why even have the rule then?
So this is what I think. This is where I think the logic is supposed to have gone. Now I'm ready to admit with you, Dave, that it was butchered and left for dead on the side of the street. I'm willing to admit that right up top. I think the reason that they recruited the priest at the end of the film was because off camera he's blessing and holy watering and garlicking all the bullets.
Okay,
I think that's what's happening.
But there's a point where a random lady shoots a vampire, and that vampire dies. It's the lady with a rifle who's not involved in their gang whatsoever.
She's just around.
Yeah. So did the priest sneak into the town and bless every bullet he could find secretly?
Yeah, the Gatling gun also shoots people.
Yep.
That was their Gatling gun first. So it's a mess. It's a real mess. Yeah. I think that was what they were trying to do. Just saying.
There's a lot they were trying to do here.
They really gave it the old college try, Dave.
Or counterpoint, did they? Did they try?
No, they didn't.
Holy shit!
So this baffling sequence ends with Billy the Kid in a Transylvanian accent leading the insipid, cowardly mayor into a room with the writer. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, oh, so nefarious shit's gonna happen. And then, with no context whatsoever, in comes 2022 or 2012 dressed woman in a leather jerkin with a bare midriff with her.
We're talking
double
about
swords.
BloodRayne now.
Yeah, and it's
All
like,
right,
I know who
first
she is. But
First
it's like,
question
what?
about
Yeah.
First question I wrote about BloodRayne: is she cold or not?
She has to be cold. There's no way she couldn't be.
Well, I just mean the character, because she shows up in like
emotionally
this
cold.
big. Yeah. Well, no,
I'm like,
I mean
in that
physically
outfit,
cold.
she has to be. Yeah.
But no, I know she is in the outfit. I'm asking, like, does she think she's cold or not? Because she's wearing this like big fuller fur coat, and then like under it a belly shirt, and it's like, so which is it, lady? Are you cold or not? Because you're not dressed appropriately for any temperature. Like you there's no temperature that you are dressed for.
She's
now.
not dressed appropriately for anything. Not
Or
any
era.
time period.
Yeah.
Not any activity. Not nothing. She is a complete disaster from moment one. She's running around with those double fucking baton swords on her back that barely get used, but she also has guns. And then like they have her ride in slow motion. And then my favorite filmmaking thing, and I wish Abe was here because Abe would know exactly why this is dumb. But they show a bunch of shots of the horse's hooves like running in slow motion as though here comes the hero. But the horse is clearly not running in the slow motion shots. So it looks like they just got the horse walking and then cut to it's at a full gallop, and it's like, bro, that's clearly not that's clearly not the thing. You didn't do it.
Yeah.
And it's bad filmmaking in the funniest way.
It is.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, amazing. Just no context for her. None.
None. And again, can't stress this, she is wearing a modern leather jacket.
Right.
Yes, leather
didn't
jackets
exist
existed
back
in the
then.
West, but
Right.
not this leather jacket.
No, not like the Matrix. She looks like a Matrix trench character.
Yeah, and it's like
it's
there's
stupid.
clearly like just like modern sewing on it. It reminds me of later the priest eats a cracker that I think is supposed to be like body of Christ,
Right.
but it's a modern factory made cracker. It's like a graham cracker. Like it has you can see where it's like the perforated part that was
Right.
like
That only a machine
it's
could
got-
make. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's like you couldn't find like you couldn't even like order like you can order those like church crackers. Like you can order those.
Right, a disc that is like a shapeless disc, and it would have been fine.
They clearly were like, like the writer thought of it on the day, and they're like, fuck, what do we have? Craft services, what do we have? And they just grabbed one of those thick modern crackers.
Okay. How about though, Dave, the fact that she wears makeup? That's another massive problem. Right.
Which
it looks
you could
so
argue
dumb,
that
though.
Yeah, you could argue that's in a lot of movies, but what you're describing is like makeup. Like she
wearing
looks like
makeup.
she works at Hot Topic.
Yes.
She looks.
Yes,
yeah.
she does. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. She looks like she's going out for a fun night with her friends. That's what she. And it's like this is because they have other women in this film that are period appropriate in terms of makeup and hair and stuff.
Yeah.
And she's strolling in from the future. You know.
Right. That's the thing. She's supposed to be like this immortal creature, but like that would mean you'd be more like the past,
Right,
not like the
exactly.
fucking future. She's like a fucking time lord in this.
Yeah, she's like fucking Blade. You know,
Yeah.
she's it's really dumb.
Yeah. It stands way out.
And it's like just so unfortunate for her because it's the kind of thing where even if she'd been great in this film or if it had been a great film, you're set up to fail with something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're really subtracted from the character right away with those decisions.
Yes.
Yeah. This also led to some of my second and third major questions. So you asked a great one. My next one is, so wait a minute. Does she not age? Does she never die? How does time
she's a
work?
vampire.
No, she's not a vampire. She's half human, half
She's
vampire.
a daywalker, yes.
So what does
But
that
I think
mean?
the implication is immortality, right? The fact that she's in the Old West.
Then okay,
it must
then why
be that she's immortal.
why does she age when she's a child in the first one?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't know, man.
Because vampires. I mean,
Listen,
I know
not a
I'm
good
picking
movie.
at the. I know,
But you're
I know
right.
what I'm doing.
I think so this is when you know vampire, because here's the thing about vampires to me it's the same as sci-fi, and what I mean by that is that like when sci-fi is done good, they think about all the angles, right? When it's done bad, like Marvel with the multiverse, they don't care. They yada yada, and
yada
that
yada,
always
yes.
that always bothers me because sci-fi, the best part of it is picking it apart. Is like thinking of all the angles, and when a writer clearly doesn't care, then it bugs me. It's the same thing as like in the movie Interview with the Vampire. They actually deal with that fact. They say, "Oh, this girl is a little girl forever,"
right?
And it
it's
drives
great.
me nuts.
It's really good. Yeah.
This, it's just like, she stops aging when she's like 20 something, and then that's that.
Even
it's like,
Twilight,
okay.
even Twilight goes to the trouble of explaining how it works. Like,
where they say they stop aging at a certain point, right?
Yeah, it takes them 7 years to become full-fledged adults, and then they live forever, conveniently. But, and like, certainly, did Dave and I dunk on it? Of course we did. We did our patriotic duty. But like, this is even worse, where you don't even explain it.
No, they don't explain shit.
Right. So like that brings up the third question I had, which this comes like right after they're like she gets like a little bit of information from who the fuck is that cowboy? That's my third question. Who the fuck is that cowboy?
Is this when she shows up? So this was the funniest thing. So she's dressed like she works at Hot Topic.
That's
she shows up at, I believe, the Weasley farm. Is that where this is supposed to be?
I think that's where she is. Yeah, I think that's right.
And she's like, I'm looking for some friends. And I'm like, you are not friends with those people. Why would you be what were you going to do? Were you going to hang out with the Weasleys?
That's correct.
You going to work on the farm? Like, what business could you possibly have with this, like, old-timey Western family?
What was Rain doing 10 days before this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what was Rain doing 10 years before this?
Yeah. She's got
idea.
fucking Soul Calibur blades that she's bringing. That's the other thing. Like, I would believe it if she was, like, dressed like a human and was like, oh, I'm going to go see these people. I saved their life, or they saved my life a while ago. If they explained it for a fucking minute and they showed that she was, like, clearly on vacation, but she shows up, like, ready to fight vampires. Like, I was just here to visit my friends. And it's like, no, you weren't. How could you possibly be? That is a lie. I do not believe that.
You're right. This movie needed a sequence where, like, she was in a shootout with such and such or whatever, killing the last vampire in this area, right? Like she's an assassin from Assassin's Creed. And then she gets a carrier pigeon, or she runs into somebody. It's like, you got to get back to the Weasley farm. That would have actually fixed a lot of problems.
Yeah, or you show that she has, like, some sort of emotional connection to these people. Like, you actually show her hanging out with them.
Right.
And then, like, she leaves to go do some vampire shit and comes back and they're dead or gone. Like, something. But she just shows up and says, I'm emotionally connected to this group. Right. And now I'm mad. And you're like, I don't believe you.
Well, and that's the problem. I actually think it would have been better if she wasn't emotionally connected and she just heard there's vampires and this is what she does now.
Because that's how it ends, where she's like, I heard there's some vampires in this other area. I'm going to go check it out. Yeah.
It's like, yes, if she's just like an assassin from Assassin's Creed who just kills vampires, I get that. Like, okay, I can accept that idea. But they didn't want to do that. They wanted this time it to be personal.
Right.
You know? And it certainly wasn't.
It wasn't. Yeah, you can't just say it's personal. That's the problem.
I have to see it and believe it.
Yeah.
No. So she runs into the character played by Michael Perry, whose name is I don't know.
So this guy is distinct from other characters? Because let me tell you, I don't know. Once her group was together, I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know who the fuck any of these people are. I don't know what they mean. So, but there is one observation we made here that's extremely important. The hero of this movie is that character. That character, her friend who, like, she meets up, who's like, you know, what are you doing in these parts? Oh, you're hunting vampires. He's the one that nurses her back to health. He's the one that helps her round up a posse. He's the one that saves people's lives. He is the best character far and away in this film.
Yeah.
Like, in terms of being a hero.
Yeah, so, he like cuts he's like practically drains himself of blood for her. Yes. I was like, dude, that shit's gonna get infected. You're in the Old West.
I will talk about that when the time comes. Because that scene's one of my favorites and one of the worst.
It is.
Yeah. So, like, he's the one that dispenses a piece of information that I could not accept until, like, it just blew my mind.
Is he in the previous scenes where, like, Billy the Kid takes over the town?
No.
See, that would have made sense.
No.
This is the same. I mean, the part where he nurses her health is the same issue, where he just sort of appears.
Yeah.
Like, is he an angel? Like, what is happening?
Honestly,
he just keeps appearing. Yeah.
Right. Like, see, I think he should have been part of the community like she was. He should have been part of Brimstone, a thing that doesn't matter.
Yeah, he should have been the friend that
He
she
should have
was
been
there to
exposition boy. Yeah.
see.
Exactly.
Yeah. Brimstone. When by the end, where they're like, we're Brimstone. I was like, you are? Like every time they whip out Brimstone, it always feels like it's in the last 20 minutes of the movie, and I just go, wait, what?
What is that
You're
again?
Brimstone? Yeah.
Can you bring Michael Madsen back to explain it to me? Because I missed him a lot in this film.
For what I can tell, Brimstone, the definition of Brimstone is a group of people near BloodRayne who dies. Like that's all I can tell is like the group that she recruits to fight in the moment to then die by the end of the movie.
Yeah, they are the expendable NPCs on their way to victory, right?
Yeah, exactly.
He's the one that gives us the information that I don't think we've quite spent enough time on yet, and that information is Billy the Kid is a vampire in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, I know we said it a bunch of times, but they didn't explain who that character was. So we just saw, Lord Vampire doing all this shit. Okay, great. If this is the point in the movie where he's like, Billy the Kid is here, and they exchange a knowing glance, and that's when you realize that guy was Billy the fucking Kid?
Yeah. The guy with the Transylvanian accent. This Eastern European Billy the Kid. That's so fucking weird.
It's utterly astounding.
Yeah.
It's not even like a little bit of historical license. Like, it's not cute and funny. It's like, it is gobbledygook.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, unbelievable. Okay, great. So then he's like, hey, why don't we team up? And she's like, I ride alone. And then he's like, yeah, but I feel like I could be useful to you. And her response to that is, your fly's open. And then she and then she rides off. And if I'm him, I'm like, okay, sure, but do you want to team up, man?
Right.
Come on now.
Give
Do you
me
want to fucking team up, you asshole? Because the answer is there's no reason for her to say no to that.
Yeah.
Literally no reason. Like, why wouldn't she? Do that?
She's like, they're trying to give her the like, I'm a badass, I work alone idea.
Right.
But there's no arc here. So like, why even do that? And then it's just makes her seem like a prick. Yeah.
Yeah.
She goes into town, and this is the part of the film that I think is the I called the well, hey there, pretty lady part, which is you're making a Western and have every stereotype. You got to have these shit kickers who are just like, woo wee, look at that fine piece of ass, and then she has to fucking beat them up,
beat the hell out of them.
And it's like, Jesus fucking Christ, can we just get past this? You know?
So this was my favorite of those tropes ever. And I'll tell you why, Dave. The first is because, but it requires us all to take a step back and think about what is happening in this town. So let's just take a minute and think about this. So first of all, there's only really 3 more sequences in this movie. She goes to the city, she gets kicked out, she recruits some other people, then goes back. That's the whole rest of the movie.
It's all broad strokes. I couldn't stress how like they didn't even bother with like a romantic subplot.
Right.
It's just the broad. It's like, describe a Western in 30 seconds. That's what this is.
It's like a watercolor painted by a 5-year-old that like almost looks like something. It almost looks like a thing. But it doesn't quite, but it almost does.
Yeah.
So like, I say this because after the town was almost entirely obliterated by Billy the Kid from Transylvania.
Right.
So what happened between those 2 events, which by the way would have taken days if people have to travel by horseback, is the town just sort of went back to normal. They went back to normal.
Yes.
Nothing happened there.
They're just like, there's some vampires around here now.
Oh, well.
And I think these shit kickers are vampires, because when he kills one of them, he turns into a vampire. And I was like, are the vampires just existing in the town? Also, if I were a vampire in any era, in any context, and a motherfucking Matrix-looking asshole came into town, I'd go, that's a vampire hunter.
Obviously.
And they don't.
Look what she
that's
looks
obviously a vampire hunter.
So you've skipped right to the part that I think bears some examination for why it's my favorite. So this guy knows her already. Like, he knows her name. He knows her. So for him to come up to her and do this, like, you got a nice ass thing, which is not what he says, but that's the vibe, right? Means it's a whole play. This whole thing is a play they're putting on for the town.
It was so fucking confusing, because this was part of what made... So he says to her, ooh wee, let's quote, ooh wee, only 2 things a woman is good for: making my grub and keeping my dick warm.
Yeah, really bad. Really bad line. Yeah.
And it's a lot of that. So it's the saloon. Again, think The Quick and the Dead, where she goes into the saloon and proves she's a badass. But by proving she is a badass, she actually just plays poker with them. And then there's like 4 aces, which is like,
wins.
oh, okay, a child wrote this.
All
4
aces.
Yeah. Ridiculous. And then they're like, you're cheating. But like, yeah, she kicks his ass first. And that's when he calls her Rain and is like seems to know
he knows
her.
who she is. Yeah, he knows who she is.
And they never established that, so I felt like I was losing my mind because everybody looks the same and it's so dark. I was like, wait, is this the guy from the previous scene? Who is this guy? They don't do any character introductions or any work to establish how people know each other. So I thought like, oh, is he like a regular person? And again, it's you don't know, like, because I'm like, surely these aren't vampires, like drinking alcohol, just like being this fucking casual in the saloon. And it's so it's like a fever dream,
right?
Because
they aren't acting like they're not doing anything a vampire would do.
No, they're just acting like regular dudes.
Yeah, they're acting like regular dudes. So again, I can't state this enough: the fact that he knows her and that she almost kills him, but he's like, "Wait a minute, well, come on, give me another chance," right? Implies this whole thing is just sort of a fun night for them. Like, again, this is like a little performance they're putting on for everybody, right?
Yeah, I guess.
It has the feel of, and I know this isn't what the film is trying to say. Like, I know that. But I feel like it sort of magically implies this whole thing's kind of a theater show for the townsperson's sake.
But which townspeople even?
Good question.
Because, like, yeah.
Good question. So I would argue that the actual protagonist of this film is the writer. The writer,
right?
And I don't mean that like we're
he does have
his
an
journey.
arc. No, he does
has
have a
the
full arc. Yeah,
correct. He
learns bravery.
Yes, and this is actually for that purpose. It's like beginning to.
She
get
got
them
a message
like,
that
wait
was
a
like,
minute.
"This writer's in town. He's writing the greatest story ever told. BloodRayne, you got to get in here."
That's right. This is
Jesus.
Billy the Kid. Like sent her a telegram and said, "Look, we need to really help this writer out. Like we got to give him something good. Can you come into town with these blades?" And so that's why it feels so half-assed and skeletal, and like why they can't hit her in water and shit. It's like what?
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
I think it makes
we'll talk
more
about
sense.
The 5-minute shooting at water sequence.
I legitimately think this theory. Yeah, it takes 5 minutes. That's true. This theory makes more sense than the movie does.
Yeah, I mean, it makes as much sense as anything does.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like, I would believe that Billy the Kid at the end is actually just alive, and he's like, good show, BloodRayne.
Right. Good. Let's do it in another town.
Because the fact that he knows her also implies, like, is she living in this town? Because, again, they do the thing where it's like, they show the town getting tormented, and then they show her, like, rolling into town. And then she's like, I know this people, and people seem to know her. So it's like, are you just living in the West? Is this like...
Bro, she's a carny. That's what she was. That's how we meet her.
She's a carny at heart.
She's a carny. This is all a fucking carnival. A traveling show they put on for townspeople. And
traveling like LARPing.
Yeah. And the townspeople get to feel like, we're brave now. Like, now we're a real city. And then they just do it again in some other town.
Yeah, I think that's the best explanation.
That's what is going on here.
It explains why they're like quote unquote working on the railroad, but those are actually just actors pretending.
Right. This is like a Not Scary Farm show or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's performance art. I know I'm not going to harp on this the whole episode. I just wanted to get it out there now.
Listen,
it really
it's
made
as good
sense
as a theory as anything.
Thank you, Dave. That's all I needed was your approval here.
So she has 4 aces. She's like, 4 aces. She's got the fucking toothpick in her mouth. Like, take it out. 4 aces.
4 aces.
What are the fucking odds?
Possibly the worst hand you could write in a card game. If you're writing a card game, because it wouldn't happen in like 10,000 hands. It wouldn't happen. You know what I mean? Like,
no, it's the kind of thing that she'd put that down and she'd go, "Oh my god, I have 4 aces," and everybody else would be like, "I'm not even mad. That's amazing.
That's amazing.
How do you
have that?"
Yeah, and they would just all like celebrate the fact, and the guy would be like, "Yeah, take my fucking money. That's incredible." And she'd be like, "No shit." Like
they'd rip her jacket off and make sure she's not cheating. Those are the two things.
That's what
that
he
would
does
happen.
say. Like, he's like, "You're cheating," and they go outside and they have a shootout. And then, again, no vampire speed. I was like, oh, she's super fast. Like, I thought they were going to do this with Billy the Kid. It's like, vampires are fast, so the drawing thing. No, none of that. She just shoots him, and then he turns into a vampire, and she's like, we're scarlet and holy water. And the toothpick's in my lip. And I was like, all right, I guess that's the explanation.
And he's like, as he dies, like, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah.
That's like why, like everybody in a duel in this, like on the vampire side, is so sloppy and dumb about the duel because they don't believe they can die in a duel. So like the whole duel again is more performance art for them. This guy getting killed should have gone through that entire town like a thunder strike. You know what I mean? Like they should have all been like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Vampires can die because of duels now. We're in trouble.
Yeah. Apparently bullets kill us after all.
Yeah. That should have been a big problem, you know?
Yeah. They keep calling her little lady. There's a line where someone says, you don't know what you're dealing with. And she says, that's fair because they don't know either. It's like, come on, just try again.
That's some weird math. How about write a totally different line? Yeah. Or have her say nothing.
She's in this town to find out why the kids have been kidnapped. And she's just playing poker. I don't know how this is accomplishing anything.
Yeah, nobody's actually trying to achieve anything here. This is why the film slows down in this section. Because nobody wants anything in this part. They're all just kind of drifting through the tropes of a Western so that she can get kicked out of town. That's it.
Yes, and the other part is they don't have enough tropes. That was the funniest thing is they know they want to do all the Western tropes, but they ran out. Multiple people keep saying, you know how many people this gun has killed? This gun has killed 35 men. Oh, you better watch out for that guy. He's killed 26 men. They keep saying that, and it's like, oh, so you like. And then when they say they're gonna hang her at high midnight,
dude, high midnight. Like, that thrilled me.
It's like again, they don't have enough tropes, and they're not creative enough to write like real characters. So everybody feels like they're at a costume party doing a cowboy. And they're all doing the same cowboy.
Right. It's a performance. It really feels like a performance.
Yes.
Like bad local theater performance. That's really what it feels like. High Midnight is truly the greatest moment these films have made for us.
It's amazing.
Far. It was so good. I had to stop. I had to order some food. I took a shower. I just needed to bask in High Midnight. It was unreal, so funny. Bro. It was unreal. Yeah. Couldn't believe it. You skipped one thing that was a strange addition to the script that I just wanted to highlight.
Oh, yeah.
During the card game, she starts losing to a guy who's Irish.
Yes.
And the Irish guy starts talking to her, and she's like, what's that accent?
Yes.
And she's like... and he's like making jokes like it's Irish, and she basically makes a racist remark against him because he's Irish. And that's when I had to take a moment and go so wait a minute. Is she racist against Irish people?
Right.
That's also one. The first movie took place in England.
I was about to say, how has she not heard an Irish person?
Right.
And then if she hasn't heard an Irish person, why is she racist against them?
Right.
What does she think an Irish person is?
Right. It was just why was that in there?
Yeah, and also, does that guy ever come back?
No. He's just there to be racist against.
Yeah,
that's
it. It's so weird.
I
forgot about that. That's a whole beat.
It is. They take a moment with it. My guess is it's one of two things. My guess is this might be Uwe Boll's, which is how I'm supposed to pronounce his name. I was told Uwe Boll.
Sure.
Uwe Boll's attempt to add some of the historical context of the period, because racism against Irish people was a thing in that time period. So he might have been trying to be period accurate, but boy did that not work.
No.
Right?
You know what's fun? Let's make our main character racist. Just, for historical accuracy.
Throw it on a random vampire. You know what I mean? Like any other person than her.
Just don't do it.
Yeah, just don't do it. Right. Even one of the children before they die would have been better than her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
a little racist
else.
kid. About to be bitten at least I'm not an Irishman. It's I guess that child was racist.
At least I die like an Englishman. That's so good.
Amazing. Weird.
Before the child dies, has to declare how much they hate the Irish.
Right.
That's pretty good. Anyway, that would have been better than what we got.
Oh, yeah. Throw some racist kids in this.
Yeah.
Spice it up.
Why not? Yeah. Anyway,
they're
High
gonna-
Midnight happened, and
they're gonna hang her. And at
Yeah.
this point, she's already shot a man. And at this point, I'm now wondering, what doesn't kill vampires? Because
Right.
they're like, we're gonna hang her, and that's a threat. And she's like, oh no, I'm gonna get hung. And it's like, huh? So that kills vampires too, huh?
Oh, that's right. She shouldn't have been vulnerable to being hung. That's right. I didn't
Yes.
think of that.
She's a
Yeah.
vampire.
Right. That's
Why is hanging a problem? Why would it ever be a problem for her?
It would have been incredible if he had remembered that it shouldn't have been a problem, and then they'd hung her, and she was just there like, "This is stupid." You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
exactly.
Like, that would have been so good.
Yeah.
They didn't
So
do
she
that.
goes to jail and she can't get out of the chains. It's another case of like this was in the first BloodRayne too, where it's like handcuffs seem to really be a problem for her. And she's again a vampire. So the question remains, what is the benefits of being a vampire?
I
'Cause
wrote down. I'm sorry, please, Dave.
No, because this guy has to fucking help her out of her handcuffs.
Yes, I wrote down two things to this scene. The first was, so again, what was her plan when she came to the town? And then I realized what her plan was. She just likes being in jail. That's
Yeah.
the character's favorite thing, is to be
I
in
guess,
jail.
yeah.
Because this character flings herself into jail whenever she can.
Yeah, also,
Right?
Did you sense that? So there's this random other guy next to her in jail.
Yeah,
And-
exposition boy.
Exposition boy,
Yeah.
who steals the reporter's glasses to pick her lock, and the guy goes, "Oh, those were my glasses."
Yeah,
And
the
it's
writer
Jesus
character.
Christ.
Yeah.
He says about Billy the Kid, he takes bullets like a boxer takes punches, and that's the line to establish bullets don't kill him. Again, very important to point this out. The movie repeatedly says bullets don't even hurt Billy the Kid.
Don't hurt Billy the Kid. Yeah, specifically.
Yeah.
Right.
And then there's like a weird sexual tension between her and this guy.
A little bit. Yeah,
And
a little bit.
Spoilers, this guy dies in the next scene. He just gets hung. So I think maybe you're right, is that because remember where the last sex scene took place? I think jails make her horny. I think
you know
she's
what?
in a jail and she's like, I'm DTF right now because I'm in a jail.
Yeah, in her defense, she gets a lot of shit done in jails.
She does.
Like, love affairs happen there. Information gets exchanged there.
Yeah.
It's like plans are formulated there. It makes sense. She should be
Right.
going to jail as often as she can.
Yeah.
You know, there's always somebody there to help her anytime she goes to jail.
Right.
You know, there was a moment that was so ludicrously offensive that it needs to be called out here.
Sure.
And that moment is that this is the point in the film where the exposition kid who's in jail with her needed to stop the movie and explain to the writer how vampires fucking work. They stopped here in the middle of the movie to
Yeah.
explain vampires. And then 10 seconds later, she goes, "Oh, you're from Brimstone too?" And he goes, "Yep." And that's all the explanation we get on
Right.
Brimstone, the actual
What?
concept we need to explain.
What is brimstone?
Right.
What is it?
Can
No
you-
one has explained it to us yet in any of these movies.
Why
They just
aren't
say, we're from Brimstone. Oh, these guys are Brimstone. What? Do they think that's like the FBI? It's like a recognizable thing?
The writers should have been barricading themselves into a barn with a Gatling gun at this point, because
Yeah.
you got to be like, dude, we don't need to explain how vampires work. We do need to explain how Brimstone works.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? We got to do the opposite of what you're doing.
Yeah. It is
yeah.
all the worst instincts. It's all the worst instincts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Utterly
this is
absurd.
where he explains that they're keeping things quiet and that's why they're eating children.
Right. This is the part where I made all the observations about pedophilia we talked about earlier.
Right.
Because it just was so weird to me that nobody thought it was weird that he had kids and like just had them chained up in his house and no explanation.
No, everybody was just fine with this.
Yeah, everybody was just fine with it. It was like, okay, that's fucking strange. Yeah, it's fucking
Real
weird.
weird shit, man. But okay.
Yeah, so I also wrote down here, it's really tough to tell who is and is not a vampire.
Yep.
Because I started to legitimately get confused.
Again, they're all dressed like cowboys, and
Right.
then every now and then they'll do like a close up of their teeth, and you can kind of make out like fangs. Or like
sometimes.
I would usually realize they're a vampire after they died, but they don't always die like vampires either. So
Right.
it's just it was impossible to figure that out.
So I do think that Uwe Boll was also concerned about establishing exactly what was happening with the kids. Because
Right.
after this scene, they cut to a scene with Billy the Kid, with all the kids,
Yes.
in his like swanky apartment that he's got in the middle of town now, And essentially, he kills one kid in front of the others to keep him in line. But it has one of the funniest visuals ever in a movie, which is it starts with him looking at in a mirror and drinking, right?
Yes!
So, of course, in the mirror, there's nothing there except for his outfit. So
Yep.
when he takes the wine or whatever he's drinking, it like literally just sloshes back in one continuous motion from his lips all the way down into his throat, which implies he no longer has muscles.
Right.
That liquid is falling directly into his bladder.
It also implies that you can see what they've eaten.
Right.
Yeah. It also implies, is he drinking wine, really?
Or like whiskey or something. It was like a yellowish liquid.
It's not blood? Because
No,
it
right,
also
yes.
implies that they just drink whatever and eat whatever.
No, he is having a Macallan neat over here.
Yeah.
You know, like
It's also probably that shot costs half their budget. It feels like it's
Yes.
the most expensive thing in the movie.
it was completely superfluous and like an attempt at flexing. But
Yeah.
again, because the muscles weren't working, it was extremely silly.
Yes.
Like
It's
extremely
like a cartoon.
silly.
Yeah.
Yeah, very silly in a funny and easily fixable way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after Billy the Kid murders a child,
Yeah.
which I wrote down at this point, like, I really don't think we need to see this. You know, like I really don't know why we're watching him murder children in front of other children, because that seems
Right.
needlessly cruel. Clearly, I got triggered by that part of this movie. So,
Well, again, my issue is like, it's the same when we talked about in the first movie, like the depiction of sexual violence, which they don't have in the first one, where I thought like, yeah, it doesn't deserve to have that. Like it hasn't earned these upsetting types of scenes. Same with the kids, where it's like, you haven't earned this. It's just, it's not good. It's not well done. It's not emotionally effective. It's just like,
you're
fuck
treating
you,
them
movie.
very disposably, you know, and that's not right. They like, there's some dignity to killing a child, you know what I mean? Or there should be in a film. Like, you
everybody write down that quote. Write down that Adam Ganser quote.
right,
There's some dignity to killing a child.
Yeah, producers, write that down. Yeah, no, you know what I mean? Like, you should, like, again, it's sort of like...
it's a big deal. It should be a big deal in a movie.
Right. It's like,
unless it's like a comedy and the ideas to like throw it away.
I guess. Like,
well, basically, if you kill a child in a movie, whatever you're trying to accomplish has to come from the fact that you're killing a child, and
Right,
that
exactly.
is a terrifying, outrageous thing to do.
Correct.
Like, if you are acknowledging that either through a comedic irony or, the tone in some way, then you're accomplishing it. But
then you're doing it dramatically. Correct.
I think this movie thought that's what it was doing.
It was
But it's
absolutely
not good enough.
doing it. No, Scott Farkas remained Scott Farkas even in this
Yeah.
role. So he kills this kid. Then they go to the hanging scene, and he brings another kid there just to see it.
Yes, just to
And
watch.
it's like, why is there another kid?
Is that like his little snack for the hanging?
Right. Does he need it on him at all times? So he's like, I might be hungry later.
Yeah, kids don't have that
You
much
know?
blood in them, so he probably has to eat them in pairs.
Well, and that brings up another question. So if that's the reason why doesn't he just make everybody in the town vampires?
I don't know.
Why doesn't he do that? Well, it's easy to do.
No, I don't know. I assume they'd leave some people to eat, but like that's what I mean about like, oh, just taking the kids. It's like, all right, and then make everybody else a vampire, right?
Right. That's what you do.
Yeah.
Make them all vampires. Because the thing that's sort of always implied about the vampires in these films is that once you make them a vampire, they do what you say.
Right. And
You know?
again, that's why at first I thought, oh, he's kidnapping their kids so they'll stay in line. But then he's killing some vampires or some of the parents, and then they're just like, no, he just wants a snack, a discreet snack. Is the idea that kids are smaller and they're more discreet? I don't know.
I don't know.
And then again, the town is just like half vampires, and it's like just eat the town and run the town. Why are you keeping the humans around?
It's
what
like
is
he
happening?
likes the tension. It's like he likes the tension or he likes
Yeah.
the conflict of it.
The mayor, for example, why isn't he either dead or a vampire?
That's the first person you eat.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like cutting the head off the opposing king tribe, like
Right.
It's that kind of thing. Like, why doesn't he do that?
Yeah,
it
but they
doesn't make sense.
they force the mayor to like list her crimes, which is causing a ruckus is one of the crimes that she's being hung for, and it's like, you're vampires. You're really gonna say causing a ruckus? And And the mayor's there, and he's like, do I have to be here? And one of the henchmen says, because I wrote this down, because I think this is not the flex he thought it was. He says, you're here. I forget what he says the first reason, and then he says, plus, it gives me a hard-on to see you shit your pants.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, dude, that is not a badass line. I don't think it's as badass as you think it is.
No.
I am aroused by you defecating yourself.
Right. There's a place for that. There's like, probably on the outskirts of town. There's the appropriate house for that, sir.
All they had to do is say it gives me a laugh or a chuckle, but they made it gives me a sexual pleasure.
Right.
To watch you shit yourself.
Again, man, I feel like they might be telling on themselves a little bit here. You know what I mean? Like there might be a little bit of that here.
Yeah,
you know?
What a fucking line.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like every time that they do something wrong, they do it the wrongest you can.
Yes.
Like they really hit a home run the wrong way.
Yeah,
you know?
they do. It's the worst instinct.
Yeah. And they do it hard. They do it hard. Yeah, it's pretty great.
Yeah. It's oh my God.
I think it's fair to say, like, and you and I enjoyed in the right way these movies more than 50 Shades of Grey, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I think I enjoyed them more.
They're both very boring.
Yeah. None of them are Twilight. Twilight was definitely a pinnacle.
But this is a different type of. Like Twilight is like you watch it and you're like, man, I'm so confused about why this is popular. This is more of like, I'm so confused about what was discussed in the moment.
Yeah,
like what the writers
what do they think
there.
they're doing?
Yeah.
What was What was the intended scene here?
Yeah. So she's gonna get hung, and again, apparently that's scary for her. And she, since she got out of her chains, she escapes. She jumps in the water. As she's jumping in the water, I think it's the same shit the pants guy. I don't know who. He goes, "Son of a bitch," like in this really like casual way, and I thought that was very funny.
Yep.
She jumps in the water, and then they just start firing their guns in the water for way too long.
It goes on for about twice as long as you think it should.
Yes.
Like there's a point where you're like, okay, it should be over now. No, you're only halfway through.
You should have run out of bullets, right? There's only 6 bullets in those guns.
So there are a few times where it would have been funny if they'd actually committed to the bit they were doing. Like this is one of them where you watch them reload and then shoot more into the water. It would have been incredible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this guy kind of wants to make comedies. You know, like I feel like he's right on the cusp of that, and clearly he tried it later.
Yeah.
So it would have been really funny if all that he needed to change for a pretty good joke is they reload.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And that would have been a bad joke in a otherwise serious action.
No, it would have been
where
amazing.
it's like they're so freaked out or something that they pause.
That would have been really funny.
Yeah,
incredibly funny.
But he doesn't. He has no instincts. He has no comedic instincts.
No.
We get the death of the bartender after this, which we haven't even talked about. The bartender, he just casually sort of helps, and I need to talk about his death.
Oh, good. Okay, good, because he really didn't. I felt like they had no idea what they were doing with that character.
I don't know why he was in it. He was like the sympathetic. He's, I think, the only black character. And again, we talked about old timey, like accurate racism. I'm not saying they should have been racist to him, but like, it's not. It just feels like it's an actor that they got, and that happens to be the only black character.
Yeah, they didn't think about that. Right.
Yeah, they don't think about it. It's basically it. It's like it's not significant in any way. Which again, it's fine. I don't care, you know. But if you're going to do the Irish racism, it's I don't know what you're trying to say in general. But
yeah, you would like it. Yeah, you would like it to be consistent. The world to have a consistency.
Yeah, exactly. And there's plenty of Westerns where they don't address that, and it's like that's not historically accurate. But this is about vampires, so it doesn't need to be. But the point of the bartender is that he helps her out, sort of, not really, and then. I want to talk about his death, not in what it means, but the actual execution of his death. So the vampire, I think it's Billy the Kid, right?
What do you mean when you say it's Billy?
The one who kills him, the bartender.
Dude, this part of the movie, I glazed out. Just
I understand
bit, so forgive
completely.
Me.
I rewound and rewatched this.
Okay,
because what happens is he basically the scene is the bartender betrayed him, so he kills him. Right? That's what they're trying to show. Billy the Kid or whoever takes his gun and puts it against the bartender's left shoulder. And when I say left shoulder, I mean his shoulder. I mean his upper shoulder. I want to make that very
like
clear.
under his clavicle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nowhere. I think someone told him to point it at his heart, and this actor did not know where the heart was. He says a few things. They cut to a reverse shot, and the bartender drops dead. He starts to fall before the gunshot.
Yep. They have a lot of problems with that.
Yeah,
they have a lot of problems with that.
This is like the perfect example, though, of like, all right, gun to his shoulder. He fires, and that alone, and then he just drops dead like he just like got unplugged from the Matrix. And it's like, that's a shoulder shot. That's not lethal, or not immediately. And then the fact that, yeah, he goes and drops, and then you hear bang as he's falling. It was, it's like, just take a minute. Just take a minute and figure this out.
Again, it feels like they didn't have enough time, and they didn't have multiple squibs.
Yeah,
like so that they had a lot of squibs.
But
in this
like
movie.
you can add the gunshot sound in post.
Right. That part is like just a sloppy. They never fixed it. But
Yeah.
like there was a lot of times in this movie where a person it took them too long to react to the gunshot, or the gunshot wasn't timed correctly, and it really felt like all that stuff stayed in the edit because they just didn't have the money for a lot of squibs.
Yeah.
You know, like you see it all over the place. This is an example of that where it's like, well, that's the best version we got, and we only had one shot at it.
Right.
So
we probably should have thought this out a little bit, but we didn't.
Yeah.
So
they probably
let's
didn't have
move
time
on.
to rehearse it. They probably did not have time to rehearse it.
Yeah.
You know, it sucks.
This is It sucks. This is where we cut to BloodRayne being healed, and I was like, wait, she was injured. Like, they don't establish that she gets hurt.
Yeah, she got shot in the water, we find out later as she's dying, and the guy who's the real hero of the movie saves her.
Yeah.
So that part, like, so that was, okay, fine. I can accept that she got shot off screen and we didn't show it. Okay.
It's just bad filmmaking, though.
Where it's
like fade to like two Native Americans
boy,
on
boy,
a
oh
boat.
boy.
And
Dave.
at first I thought, are they going to do that trope where the Native Americans heal her with magic? And they don't do that. But it's two Native Americans, and then it cuts to her being like lying there in pain. And I thought, those Native Americans found her, and it's just another guy. And it's like just that sequence of events. It's so confusing.
It's so clumsy. I wrote down literally as it was happening, like, please don't include the Native Americans in this movie. Please
and I'm
don't.
glad they didn't. I'm glad
I got instantly worried when I saw that. I was like, this guy is going to mess that up. I just don't want that.
But cutting to those Native Americans, you might as well have cut to a modern shot of New York City, because it literally has nothing to do with the previous scene and the next scene. And it sets up this idea that it's like, that they found her because they're in water. They're the Native Americans in water. And then they cut to her lying at the shore of water and on like a modern blanket with her fucking leather jacket as a blanket on her. And you just assume it's the Native Americans, some tribe founder. Nope, it's just this cowboy. And then you're also like, what is wrong with her? Because they didn't establish that. It is one of the most confusing transitions of the movie. And then, like you said, they have to go, by the way, I was shot in that water. And it's like, you probably should have shown that, huh? Probably should have shown that happen.
That would have helped us. I was kind of in it for this piece. Like meaning like I was like all right, I want to see where this goes, because this was, and I say this with love and respect, this was some of the worst acting in any of the movies so far.
Yes.
Like this particular scene. It's really bad, in part because it's not a smart scene writing wise, and so it's an even worse scene directing wise, because she has to explain what she is to this angelic hero character who discovers she's a vampire
while she's dying. So
dying,
blood. I'm a vampire. I need blood.
Right.
I gotta heal with blood.
Right, but she has like a half human, half vampire. Like she has to
and
explain
her,
this while she's convulsing.
Yeah, her eyelids are twitching, and she has to act like she's dying.
Yeah,
but again, she's also like, you got shot. You don't have a fever. Like she's acting like she's like sick.
Right.
And that's again, it makes no sense, because we've seen in the other BloodRaynes, like when she gets stabbed or something, she needs blood and it'll heal her. But it doesn't put you into like convulsions. I don't know what it's
utterly
again,
silly.
So if you did this correctly, you have you have a shot of her getting shot while underwater. You have a shot, instead of the Native Americans, you have a shot of her floating in the water during the day and someone dragging her out of the water. So you establish, okay, she's injured. You have them trying to heal her. And then you have her
getting
like,
sick. Yes.
Yeah, you have her getting sick, and then you have her like mutter like, blood, I need blood. And then,
blood, yeah.
Yeah, and then like opening like a bunny rabbit or something and giving her blood to see, or like blood getting on her wound to see it's healing, and they realize it. But they don't have time for that. They have 2 setups, and they got to get this fucking scene done.
Or you get somebody who knows enough to be like, I've seen this before. You know, like to the guy, so he can go hunt for the solution. So he decides to give her his own blood. Okay, the way he cuts himself is absolutely senseless.
Yes, it's going to be a problem for him for weeks.
Yeah, it is senseless. Like,
He
cut
might
your
lose the
hand,
arm.
dude.
Yeah.
Cut your hand, and you don't need to go like all the way to the bone. Are you fucking crazy?
Yeah, his upper like wrist
Forearm.
area. Yeah, his
Upper
forearm.
Yeah.
He cuts
right by the elbow.
deep across. Yes, and it's like what a bad place to cut yourself.
Like, that's gonna get infected, and then
and it's deep.
It's deep. Like, he fucked himself up. Like, that might literally affect his arm in the future.
I wanted him to like slowly die for the rest of the movie, just like shivering and his arms getting worse and worse.
That would have been funny. Okay, so here's the other mistake he makes. Once he does that, he's splurting blood all over her mouth. Honestly, it seemed very sexual. Like, it's like, dude, why don't you collect the blood in a vessel, or like get it close to her mouth so that you're not splashing it all over her face?
Right.
You know what I mean? It was very stupid.
Find other blood.
Right.
Just like look around for a fucking squirrel. You're an outdoorsman. Can you not do this? He just opens himself up and just drips it onto her face in the most willy-nilly way. Where you're like, what the fuck are we doing here?
I mean, maybe I'm being crass here, but it really felt like it was like a splooge thing.
Yeah,
like the way it was playing out. I feel like that's what it's trying. It's
trying to be sexy in some way,
and it's like not. You know,
no,
it's like
she's shivering and dying.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah,
don't do that.
He's like, oh, you like this? You like this, baby? You know, like it's so weird.
Right. So this is the part of the movie where, having been revived by his blood and him apparently miraculously recovering himself from his deep flesh wound, they decide, let's go collect other people that we kind of vaguely know of to be a posse.
So let's go collect as far as I'm concerned, random people that have because they never explain how she knows the people. They don't even do the thing where they walk in and they go, well, if it isn't BloodRayne. They don't even do that. From what I can tell, they don't know her. She's just walking through the woods and finding the first people. So the first place is Shed Church, which, my fucking God.
That everything about that scene and sequence was dumb, but also like needlessly offensive, and also like confusing. It was all three things.
It was the most. It's one of those like edgelord 14-year-old trying to make a statement about religion, but it doesn't make sense. Like and at one point I was like, are they saying something about religion here, or what are they trying to say? The priest
It seemed like he was.
Yeah, the priest is unhinged. He's giving this unhinged weird sermon where he's like the most sleazy weird slime ball. And they have like old ladies hanging on his every word, and you're like, why would this exist?
Well, they look scared.
Yeah,
they look terrified.
He says something about the moist.
References.
Yeah, he says the moist lips between a virgin's thighs at one point, and then he like gives this big sexual grin, and it's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, what are we doing right now?
Like it's like shit smearing raving. Like it's like you can't follow it. You're like, what the fuck are you saying? He talks about like strangling with intestines to drag you into the light or something, and it's like it's a manifesto.
It's the equivalent of like a badly executed WWE character,
right?
Like it's like it's so over the top and so like, I love being bad. You know, like that's the vibe of it.
And then at the end, he's like, forgiveness don't come cheap, and collects the money. And then he's just like, I got the money. And it's like, what do you think this is what church is? Like, this is
exactly.
Yeah. It was like, what the fuck was this? because then I thought he must have been a bad guy. Like I assumed, this is a bad guy harnessing religion. Like I thought, okay, this is a bad scene, but what he's trying to depict is a bad guy harnessing religion to get ahead, and BloodRayne's going to like kill him or something. Mm-hmm. And then what we learn is he's supposed to be like a scamp, because then he's collecting the money, and then we get slow clap. He's collecting the money, and you hear behind him this.
Oh, I thought they saw wanted like they gave him a wanted.
They gave him
poster
the
of
wanted
himself.
poster,
okay,
and then they slow clap. And I'm like, what is? Again, it's all the cliches.
Right.
It's like Nick Fury walking in, like, good job, everybody.
Right.
So it's like, just pick one. Either give him the poster or slow clap.
Well,
also, his sermon is like it's like a half hour after everybody's gone. So it's like, what are you even slow clapping?
Well, that's the thing, is this room is like smaller than my apartment.
Church shit.
So like,
yeah.
so like, there's no way those people could be in the room at the same time and not know they were there.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
so that was stupid about it. Like that was like,
There's
what?
so much wrong with this.
There's so much wrong. So like, the funny thing is, this movie was made in 2007, which is the same year as There'll Be Blood, which perfectly depicted this kind of character.
Yeah.
Did a perfect version of it. In fact, I kept thinking of that scene, right? Where it's like,
right.
Give me the blood, Lord, and let me get away. That scene.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same. That's what they're trying to do. Is
right.
like that scene. And it's really funny to think of this movie as being made at the same exact time.
Right.
Like, wow, a tale of two filmmakers.
That is amazing, because this film feels so much older.
Oh, it does. And
yeah.
Nope, same year.
Yeah.
Wild.
And not older
really
in a good way.
No.
Yeah. And so they blackmail the priest.
Yeah, so I wrote down, why do they even need skeezy Ethan Hawke anyway?
Yes, he is Ethan
What do they
Hawke.
need him for? Yeah.
So, all right, they blackmail the priest, and they basically say, like, we're going to put up these signs, and the town will tear you apart. We're going to tell them what you are. And it's like, how do they not already know what he is? He's a weird maniac.
They should go to his church service.
Yeah.
That's a pretty telling event, I would say.
What could you possibly expose about this guy? And they're like, unless you help us fight vampires. And it's like, okay, why? So here's if we're doing scenes that could fix this.
Great.
I
don't know if we should do that, but go ahead.
No, but you have a scene between this where they say, if we're going to fight these guys, we're going to need a priest. We're going to need someone to bless the bullets.
Yeah, we're going to need the bullets blessed.
And then she says, do you know any? And he's like, I'm afraid there's only one in these parts.
Yeah.
Boom. Answered. Problem solved. They don't like the guy, but they need him because he's technically a priest.
Yeah.
But they don't do any of that.
Those are the kind of scenes we criticize for being too on the nose sometimes.
Yeah.
But they are functional for these reasons.
And he needs them more than anybody, right?
100%.
I would be fine if there was just like narration explaining between scenes what was happening.
And this is like 50 minutes into this hour-and-a-half movie.
Yeah.
Like, we're pretty late in the movie to be introducing an important character. You know? And he's not the only one. We introduced two of them.
Yeah, no, this is supposed to be like the Magnificent Seven moment.
Right.
Where they're like, we're recruiting a team. But again, they wanted to make them like scamps, but he didn't want to like just have them be like a slightly... He wanted to have like this fucking Apple Box moment to talk about religion in the most like uninteresting way and the most uninformed, unnuanced way. So like, it just becomes like weird and startling, and then you're supposed to be on this guy's side, and it's just like
you're supposed to think he's funny and clever.
Yeah, and he's not.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I think, a good warning for all of us who aspire to make art. Be careful when you try to dunk on a community or a thing that you don't really understand.
Yeah, no,
because you might end up actually making your point of view look worse.
Yeah,
you know,
and that's what this is. This is like edgelordy. Yeah. I wouldn't even argue like this is a draw for me, where I'm like, I came out of this not learning a thing about anybody. All I've learned is that these people are bad at making a movie. Right.
That's right.
Yeah, it does make him look worse for sure, but it doesn't make any like perspective, because it's like a fucking 4chan post.
It makes you dislike the attitude of the filmmaker more.
Yes,
I would say.
Yes,
like,
that's what I mean. It made me not like them more. Yes,
yeah, exactly.
For sure.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, it's not. Again, I think the There'll Be Blood stuff is fucking fantastic.
Right.
Like on the exact same subject, So it's not even the subject; it's the execution.
No, I mean I don't think. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not subtle. This isn't a subtle problem. It's so obvious and weird and bad.
So can I just say if I'm really trying to improve this movie, if I'm genuinely trying to improve it, I accept the first half, if I'm going to accept the first half. So the second half honestly feels like it should just be these two, this guy who she spurned and then who helped her,
right,
and her, really figuring out, doing a training montage of sorts to now we're gonna really Unforgiven this town.
Right. We don't need to add new characters that are just gonna get murdered anyway. And all the action is so pitch fucking black that I'm I don't even know who's doing what anyway. So
and quite frankly, if there had been only two characters to track, I think it would have led to more interesting action scenes.
For sure.
Because the action scenes in the third act, spoilers, are pretty dull.
Yeah, they're dull, and it's a combination of them feeling confusing, but also me just struggling to pay attention to them.
Yeah, because there's no stakes. You don't care about it.
I rewound a few times where I was fuck, I was looking at my phone. I just completely, my eyes just drifted down to my phone, and then 5 minutes passed, and I went, oh, right, a movie is playing.
Right.
Right. So I want to talk about this priest for hours, but I know we should move on. I mean, we cut to more stock photos of mountain ranges because we go to the brothel next.
That's right. Oh, the brothel.
And the brothel is equally confusing as the priest because, again, they don't establish who any of the people they're recruiting are. No. Also, I think they only recruit these two people. So, it's hard to call it a montage. And again, you just need something where it's so and so he's the fastest gun, or so and so he's a tech person. But
Ocean's 11 it.
Yeah, but they're kind of a scumbag. The priest, they could have easily done the scene I described, and then the priest, I don't know, having sex with someone in the back, and it's oh, he's a bad priest, and then they recruit him. You could do that in fucking a minute, but they make him do this unhinged sermon. This is no different. She goes into a brothel. She just takes a tray and they just let her. And she goes into this guy's room. We don't know who he is. I assumed they needed information from him.
He's just
dirty
horn dog.
Just like the priest, I assumed he was a bad guy because he's no different than the other bad guys. And he's just oh, look at you. Let's have sex.
Well, he's also, he's horny and gross.
Yeah, his teeth are disgusting.
His teeth are disgusting, so we look down on him because those are movie cues to tell us this is a person who is probably not likable.
And again, same with the priest. The priest is horny and gross. He's not a bad boy. He's not he's not even a sleazeball that you're I could see some good in him. No, they literally make them look and act like villains. Yep. And so you just assume every scene, oh, she's coming in here to kick their ass. And so it's the same thing as he's this weird, shitty guy in this bed. And she ties him to the bed and he's you're into that sort of thing. And this is all a classic setup, right? And she sticks the gun in his mouth and you're oh, this is a perfect interrogation idea. It's oh, I'm not, you think I'm a sex worker. Nope, I'm a badass. I want information. And then she says, I want you to join us to hunt vampires. And it's what? Why would that be? Who is this guy? This random guy that she wants to join. They don't establish anything about him, any special talents. He's just a scumbag.
He's just some guy. Yeah, I think this would have been an interesting place for us to learn. For us to learn that Billy the Kid is the vampire. That guy could have known that fact. Right. And we could have gotten that fact, and he could have been afraid to tell or whatever. You know what I mean? Maybe this, because we did need an interrogation scene. Right. There were pieces of information that we got from Jail Exposition Boy.
Right.
That honestly could have been from this guy.
Yeah.
And it would have made the scene better, the movie better, I would say.
Yeah, but this is a recruitment scene. This is no different than fucking Danny Ocean picking the pocket of fucking, Matt Damon. That's what this scene is supposed to be. But it's the equivalent. All right, it's that scene from Ocean's 11 if Matt Damon stabbed an old lady, and then Danny Ocean was I want you in my special club. It's that. They specifically make this person out to be bad, and then and then again this classic revenge idea of she has him tied up, gun in his mouth, and he's like, "Oh, I'll hunt vampires." And then one of the wildest things happens in this movie.
Wait. Actually, I think the more accurate metaphor here, Dave, is it would be like the scene in Ocean's 11 if Matt Damon's character fumbled a grift, like fumbled the pull, and then had to murder the woman.
Yes.
And then they're like, "Oh, you should join up."
And then
he's bad at being a hero.
Enjoyed murdering the woman and like jerked off afterwards.
Yeah.
Like
That's
it's that.
right.
No joke.
Because this guy, everything we know about him means he's bad at the job they're asking him to do.
Yes.
You know?
But I don't even know the job they're asking him to do. But that's the other thing. It's all right. No, it's not if Matt Damon fumbled the lift. It's if Matt Damon was screaming in the subway about bugs and then stabbed an old lady and jerked off, and they're like, "We want you in our club." Like,
you should be my lift guy.
Yeah. I know people listening have not seen this movie, but
definitely not. And don't see it. Please don't.
I can't stress this enough. If you're doing a recruitment montage, there's certain rules that any fucking child would know to do. You show why they're being recruited. You say their names. Say the name of the character.
It's second draft stuff.
Yeah, show their skills. Show why they're being recruited, and don't make them seem like they're villains.
Right. So like everybody who like out here who aspires to be a screenwriter, like these kind of mistakes, I mean, I think at a certain point you probably just don't make them at all. But they're the kind of mistakes from a script being written like in an absolute hurry. Like where you just have no time and it's just like you're getting it out and you're not taking the time to like get the logic in place and fix those kinds of like, oh, we need this connecting part.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we'll write it later. We'll figure it out later.
Yes, here's the broad scene and strokes, and they never got past that.
Right, because they keep thinking that in the scenes where the exposition should happen.
Correct.
Where it's like in the scene where you introduce a character, think of a name for him. Think of why they're involved. Because again, this is just some shitbag tied to a bed.
Right.
That's it. That's all he is. And
honestly,
she's like, "You're gonna help me hunt vampires," and she says, "Okay." And then he says, "Are we still gonna have sex?" And they do.
And they do. They do have sex, and it's like, why? Why?
That is the wildest. Okay, okay.
We got an hour on this, Dave. we got plenty of time. Let's do it, man.
The idea of the scene is she has disguised herself as a sex worker. And the idea,
by
much
having
like
a
those
drink,
early scenes,
by taking the drink in.
Yes.
Like not even
But
by
then she
wearing
acts
an
all,
outfit
like-
or anything.
No.
Okay.
But then she goes in and she acts all ditzy and like playful, like, we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
And ties him up. So the idea of a scene like this is it's a setup and a payoff, which is she's disguising herself as a sex worker so she can tie him up to S&M. It's not particularly clever, but there's a through line. And then, she doesn't have sex with him because he's a piece of shit and she's just recruiting.
And because she's a human being who like has sex when she chooses to for good reasons, in theory. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the punchline, and again, I'm not saying any of this is good. It makes sense. It's logical. Is the character says, "Oh, so we're not going to have sex after all."
Right.
And then it's like, wah, wah, you cut away.
Right.
That's the joke.
Right.
They do all of that, and then at the end she goes, "Oh, but let's have sex." And she has sex with this guy who looks like he was soaking in a fucking trough. Like I can't stress enough. They make him purposefully look disgusting.
He's heinous.
And she just fucks the guy. And that's exactly the Iwi Bowl like instinct, where it's like he doesn't understand. He's a child. He doesn't understand where he's like, "Oh, wouldn't it be funny if she did fuck him?" And it's like, no, it doesn't make any sense. And there's no punchline there. It's not funny. You're just like a horny child.
That's his misogyny playing out, I think. Like to me, this is when people talk about misogyny in movies, this is one of the great examples of it, I would say, where like the woman suddenly loses agency or character or thought process or anything that would make having sex a decision, and instead becomes literally a toy for whatever male's in the scene to play with.
Yeah, and whatever male is behind the camera to play with, too. Yeah.
And we don't see the sex scene, so like it's not exploitative in that way.
No. My theory actually is I don't think the actress knew. I think this was a post-production decision. Because when he says, "Are we going to have sex?" Like, again, that is a punctuation. You end the scene. Like, that is a full story, right? Again, it's not great, but it is a beginning, middle, and end. Guy thinks he's going to have sex. Woman ties him up, interrogates him, recruits him. He goes, "Are we still going to have sex?" She gives like a funny smile, and then you cut away. They do all that, and then they cut to outside of the door, and they add sex sounds.
Right.
And so my assumption is that in post he was like, but wouldn't it be funny if she like fucked him? And it's like, yeah, I mean that undercuts the entire point, but sure.
It's the kind of thing
and that's what they did.
You would do it maybe in a sketch, like throwing the misogyny part of it out.
Yeah.
You might do it in a sketch because undermining the content can be funny in a sketch. In a narrative, you break the entire system when you do that shit.
Yep. Or I would argue this is acceptable but still not good. You make him like a hot himbo.
Right.
You make him desirable.
Right, exactly. Yes.
And then at the end he's like, so we're still not gonna fuck, and her like,
all right.
like looking it over.
Yeah.
And then and then it's like she has agency, she has decided to do this, but he is again just this like shitty he's like a fucking the kind of person you'd see at Deadwood. Like he's that level of shitty, he's not likable, and he is somehow rewarded with this. And it's like, what the fuck is this? Like, it's so weird.
It's a thing there's no chance that this character would do. Like, it just would never happen.
Right, that's the thing. It's not, even if he was a himbo, she's a serious character who's trying to, like, get revenge, so it still wouldn't be good. It would at least be a little better. But, like, she's trying to recruit people to fucking get revenge, to save children.
Right. So, like, maybe set it aside for a couple nights.
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, like, I'm not trying to like beat my chest about morality here, but it was like such a startling, like, it really took you out of the film, or it's like, what?
What we're describing here, by the way, is it's like the fire hose tactic of misinformation, where the movie blasts so much nonsense that it's layers upon layers. Where like this is still a recruitment scene, and like that alone, I still can't get over that was improperly done. Like there's so much to like dissect.
I mean,
in the sequence,
absolutely.
It's hard to keep up.
Every beat of it requires like being pulled apart and like put back together for context.
Yeah.
And we're not going to do that because we have other things.
It's
to
exhausting.
Do. It's too much.
It's exhausting.
So then they cut to a scene that I feel like should have happened. I'm going to say 40 minutes earlier, and that scene is. The people in the town go, we should do something about these vampires. So like
they're like, one guy's like, you know what I'm getting sick of? These vampires.
Yeah. So the mayor's like, I got a plan, guys. It's incredible. What's the plan? Says the writer, who we're basically following at this point. Let's lie to the vampires about the railroad. And the writer's like, I don't think that's going to work. And the mayor's like, well, that's the only plan there is. And that's all we got. That's it for the town. They all look sadly like, I guess we're going to try that then. That's it. That's the whole thing. It was incredible because at this point, there's no reason to show it. There's literally no reason to show it because we're not going to follow the town. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're not doing that. We? And they don't actually see that plan play out at all. So it doesn't matter. And it's way too late. Like, there's so many reasons why you don't need it.
I don't even remember this, really. Like, this is one of those parts where I just, like, check the fuck out. Yeah. Because it's like the moment people are talking in a room and it's pitch black,
I don't care.
I just, like, again.
I don't care. It's like NyQuil for me.
To sleep.
It's like warm milk. I'm right out. Yeah, I totally understand. This is when I wrote the note, why don't the townsfolk just leave? You know what I mean?
Very good
Why
question.
don't they? The vampires don't give a shit what they're doing.
Right. They take over the town. They're like, and we're going to have like a government. And we're going to, like, the fact that they have a hanging for BloodRayne and they don't just kill her on sight.
Right.
It's like, what are you trying to have a fucking, does it not count unless it's like legal? Like, what's going on?
Right. What trial and tribute and pomp and circumstance is important to you as vampires?
Again, they're trying to do like a Deadwood thing where it's like, we take over the town. We have the mayor in our pocket. And it's like, you're a vampire. You can just kill everyone and live there.
And because
what is happening?
You don't look like vampires, nobody fucking has to know.
You know what I mean? You need this to look good on the books. Yeah. Is someone going to audit you and be like, why did you kill BloodRayne here? And there's no reason to. You're going to jail.
Again,
what's happening?
I believe these vampires are doing this for the benefit of the writer. Like, it's all like, we're putting on a great show
for you. It's the game. It's Michael Douglas's The Game.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what's happening. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The way the movie ends only reinforces this opinion.
It does,
Yeah.
because boy,
what a choice.
what a choice.
Anyway, so
The writer, by the way, I thought he was going to be the comedic, like the comic relief, and he's not. He's just like bumbling and weird.
well,
and that's it.
He has one of my favorite beats in a movie in the third act here, so I don't want to skip too far ahead.
Sure.
It's incredible. Yeah, and I'll just say that. So like,
Right.
So
They show up in town.
Well, so I wrote down the note at this point when they were finally stepping into town. Now that we're in the third act, what does Rain want again? Like, why does she care?
Yeah.
Why does she want to stop vampires when they're everywhere?
Very, very good question, because I thought she was going after the kids that she was friends with.
You just assumed.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think at the end when the kids finally get out, I don't think she even talks
Nope,
to them.
she just bails. That's it.
Yeah. She doesn't even. I guess she has no idea why she's completely forgotten the thread. She just wants to kill vampires, and that's fine. But then don't create a personal motivation at the start of it.
It's right.
Just don't involve
Make
it.
her an assassin with no personal loyalty. Just like make her the man with no
Yeah.
name. That's like a great
Make her Mad
trope.
Max.
Yeah. Well, this trope
Yeah, where
really,
she just leaves afterwards.
And
yeah.
again, I know Uwe Boll's seen Italian westerns. He keeps imitating them the whole time. Every Clint
Right.
Eastwood character for like the first 10 films of his career that are westerns are all people with no motive other than justice. She could have easily been that. You know?
Yeah, but she isn't. They
isn't.
gave her weird motivations.
They kind of did.
And then
yeah.
this is when they call themselves again the fucking Brimstone group, and I was like, okay, like,
Sure.
Is this priest? Was this priest Brimstone? You know what would have an easy way to fix that scumbag recruitment scene? Have them all reveal that they have the fucking necklace, at least.
Yes.
Like the Brimstone.
Or a tattoo
where it's like,
or whatever, or a hood or something.
Yeah. They're just part of the secret society,
Right.
and they're being collected.
Right. That's why
anything.
That's why I thought again Assassin's Creed. You know?
Yeah, I can't stress enough that she just recruits the most random characters with no skills, and so they come into town, and then I know they start. This is again where I started to black out, but I remember the Home Alone hanging trap where she walks in on Billy the Kid, and he is set up an
sitting in a chair.
elaborate booby trap.
He sits in a chair while it happens to see it happen.
Yeah,
needs
she
to watch
opens
it.
the door, and there's a rope tied to the door. I am not making this up.
With pulleys.
It is tied.
There are
It's
pulleys.
a pulley system that Billy the Kid has constructed or asked someone to construct, knowing that she was going to come through the front door.
Several pulleys.
Why she went through the front door, no idea. She opens the door. The pulleys create this weight system, this giant weight.
Stone weight.
That he had dragged in here, apparently, that is attached to the other end of the kids, and it's got 5 nooses and 5 kids, and so as she opens the door, they start to hang the kids, so she has to hold on to the rope and keep it in place.
Some shitty vampire
Rube
had to
Goldberg.
build this. Had to go and build these pulleys and hang them from the ceiling and get the angle just right.
He sat down with his vampire, and he's like, with a piece of paper, he's like, so here's what I want.
Here's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
Six
here's
kids,
what I want to
6
accomplish.
nooses. They're all hanging from the ceiling. I need 2 pulleys probably. And the shitty
And
vampire's
again,
like,
it's
fuck.
completely reliant on her opening the front door to go in to confront him. Like, oh, no windows. She's not going to break through anything. No, front door. She might as well knock.
It's and like you can tell that that's what happened because he's been sitting in that chair for ages waiting for this moment. Like
with
it
the
just
kids, and he's
thrilled
like,
him.
don't worry, kids, this is going to be great.
It's like Mousetrap.
Time.
It's like that board game Mousetrap where we're all waiting for the fucking Mousetrap to happen. That's what this is for this guy.
I couldn't fucking believe this. And then when it happens, she's holding the rope. She has so much trouble with this. And again, it's one of those moments where I thought, what do vampires do? Are they super fast? Doesn't look like
They
it.
invent machines.
Can they fly? Yeah. Like, is there nothing she can do with her super strength and speed?
Does she have
for
that?
Vampire. Yeah, does she have it? I don't know. Bullets seem to kill her like everybody else. Like, is the only benefit the fact that she can heal when she drinks blood? Is that it? Because she can't do anything about this situation.
I think
Nothing.
she's just Wolverine without any strength or anything. I think that's all
Yeah.
it is. So like,
So she's just sitting there struggling.
yeah, well, she is. I mean, to be fair, she is supporting the weight of 6 children. Like, it's not like it's a small amount of weight.
That would be hard.
It's like
if you
600
weren't a
pounds.
vampire.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
but I mean, I don't know, man.
It's very confusing. I just need to say, I'm sorry, because we skipped over this little beat that I thought was very funny.
Sure.
It happens before the elaborate pulley thing, which is a gift to all of us. So before that happens, they have the posse rides into town, and the preacher has a confrontation with one of the vampires who's going to shoot him. And the preacher's like, "Do you know what these vampires say about you behind your back?" And by convincing this vampire that they say bad things about him, he turns and joins the other team.
I forgot about that. See, it was so hard because, again, I can't tell any of these fucking honkies apart. It was just like, there's so much of that where it's like, don't say anybody's name, have them randomly switch sides, have vampires and humans die exactly the same. It's like the movie is like a shell game where it's purposefully trying to make you confused.
Yeah.
It's
really...
this vampire switching sides, it's like, what the fuck is even happening?
It obliterates your sense of narrative symmetry, for sure.
Yeah.
Billy the Kid, sitting in the chair, continues to make puns. He makes several puns, and it's one of the greatest moves a villain's ever made. It's wonderful. The hanging, like the kid's acting is very bad in a way that makes it very funny. And the ropes look like shit. The ropes are not even around their necks. It looks awful.
If I were on this set, I would continuously have to like go outside and hold my head in my hands. Like, this is all just the worst. What the fuck are we doing? Like, there'd be so many, like, I feel like crew members should just quit on the spot. Where they're like, what is this?
The production designer is like flying out of, is like quitting and becoming like an art teacher or something.
Yeah.
Like this is such a demoralizing job.
Yes. There should be rock bottom for so many people involved.
It's really, really
Billy
grim.
the Kid. And yeah, the kids aren't convinced. No one's convinced. Billy the Kid is like, he has his hand on like the face of one of the kids.
Yeah.
And his thumb is like near her eye and he's like rubbing and it's like, what are you doing, man?
Right. What are you doing?
Stop it.
It's really shitty.
This
and
scene
dumb.
is out of control.
Well, this is maybe you'll think I'm insane for this observation, Dave. This is the moment where I realized that Billy the Kid had a Transylvanian accent. Like it finally.
Yes.
It,
No, I wrote
it
in
occurred
my
to me
notes.
here.
I literally wrote in my notes, is he from Transylvania at this point? Because I think what that says is that the character wasn't doing the accent very well.
It wasn't clear until now that he was from Transylvania. And this is the point where that really soaked in for me. And I was like, what?
Yeah. Billy the Kid is that his Transylvanian name?
Yeah.
What's happening?
What could this mean? What could be happening? So...
Was he like William the Child the First over in Transylvania and then changed it when he came here? What is Billy the Kid's fucking story?
What's his real name? William Dracula, and he fucking changed it over here.
Transylvania.
Yeah, it's completely baffling. Okay, so there's that. Meanwhile, the film does yet another thing that just delighted me, and it starts to Return of the Jedi this sequence. And what I mean by that is they decide to have 3 conflicts that are happening simultaneously, and you're sort of intercutting against them. And
I could not follow
and
any of
it
them.
becomes completely incomprehensible. They have Emperor-like moments that are very funny. So it's that all that shit is incredible. One of the threads, and definitely my favorite, is the town starts to get like, we got to do something about this again, right? So like they're trying to hulk up enough to go out there with some guns and kill these vampires. Now, bear in mind, there's like 50 townspeople. There's plenty.
Right.
There's plenty of townspeople, and there's like, I don't know, 20 vampires out there.
Yeah, and I get the instinct here, which is, like you said, the Star Wars of it all, where it's like, let's follow 3 different groups and everything, converges, and it's like, you're not good enough, and you haven't earned that.
No. So to prolong this, again, because that's part of what Return of the Jedi did, is like try to prolong all the action sequences by intercutting them. It ends up taking like 15 minutes of this movie for the town to get motivated enough to literally leave the room, and it is wonderful. It's wonderful. I just deeply thrilled me. Yeah,
and this is where like they're just shooting vampires, and that's working.
Sure.
And it's okay, I guess that was always an option.
Right. So one thing that came out of the DVD commentary that I'm just going to add for Dave's benefit, I think, is that Uwe Boll, having watched a bunch of Italian westerns, told the whole crew, it's not about the shootout, it's about the build up to the shootout. Like that was the goal. That was the goal with all the action
Which
sequences.
was also bad.
Right.
It's not about the bad shootout. It's about the bad lead up.
Well, so the problem is
the bad shootout.
The problem is, and like you hear him say, like, yes, it takes forever to shoot. Like he's in his German accent, right? Like he also gets exasperated with the waiting time, but he thought that's still a good idea. So like he has all these intercutting scenes where they're still building up to anything happening. And nothing happens.
Yeah, nothing's happening. That's where I blacked out because I swear to God, I missed like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
and then when I came back, the action hadn't started yet.
Yep.
You're right. It's just this. It's like it dares you to pay attention. Yeah. It's just like, no, I can't pay attention.
See if you care. See if you can
Billy,
care.
the kid just sits there and talks for a while.
Yep. In punts.
And it's like, just fucking do the scene.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really great. I thought at this point, and this is about 10 minutes into this, right? I thought at this point it would have been incredible if the town never got motivated enough to leave that room. Like the action happens, and right as they step outside, it's like, it's already over.
Come out.
Yeah, it's already over.
That would have been amazing. Yeah,
would have been.
That would have been an actual comedic beat.
Would have been good. So they do step out, and the mayor gets shot almost immediately by one of the vampires. Which is very funny, which causes the writer to run all the way back inside. That's it for him.
Yep.
He just cowards
he
out.
Never proves himself.
He cowards out entirely.
Yeah, and then I think it's just one lady shoots a vampire.
Yeah.
Like it's just one old lady is the only one who actually does anything.
Yeah. This is the part where I wrote down people take 200 years to shoot or be shot in this movie.
Yeah.
It takes
This is
forever.
where it got really like the priest, I think, dies. A bunch. I think the brimstone people die. I'm not even certain because it's so dark. There's a lot of like people shooting at each other, but you don't really quite know where they are in relation to each other because it's all these like medium shots without like showing the actual like the layout. And so they're just like ducked behind things shooting, and it's dark and you can't tell them apart. The
lighting is never. The lighting is never lit in such a way that you have a sense of like starlight or ambiance in the room or light filling the room. It's always like sort of like basically black with like face light here and there, and it looks very very. It's hard to.
It looks like it was
people.
lit with candles.
Yeah, a little bit, but it doesn't have enough.
But not
light.
in a good way.
Yeah, like candles
not
actually
in the Kubrick way.
Yeah, right. See, exactly, because Kubrick actually did candlelight, and candles actually give more light in a room than this did.
Right. This felt like they just couldn't afford lights. They were just buying things like lights at Home Depot and putting them up. And so BloodRayne, I don't even remember how she gets out of this predicament, but I remember that she
flips and cuts all the nooses with her blade, and then they all.
It's so fast and nonsense that you're just like, okay, I guess that worked. I remember she swings her blades at Billy the Kid and doesn't seem to hit him, and then he falls down. And I couldn't figure that one out.
They have a wonderful moment that's again very anime, where their fight has come to a draw, which is such an anime thing, and so they're they step back, they step back from each other with their weapons trained on each other. Billy the Kid has 2 pistols pointed at her. She has those stupid fucking knives, and she's backing away from him. And it's like, why doesn't he just shoot her now?
It's like, it looks like we have a standoff.
And it's like, that's not how knives work.
Like, what if they both had guns? That's not like that John Woo gun thing. Yeah. I'm always thinking like, just pull the trigger,
just shoot it.
Like the other person won't. Yeah. But in this case, there's no draw here. He just has to shoot her. Instead, he like kicks her outside right into the action. And there's the shootout happening out there. We said there's a Gatling gun.
Yes, which gets confiscated by the angelic hero who is nameless and doing everything important in this movie.
Yes, doing everything.
He takes it, shoots all the appropriate people with that weapon at the appropriate time. That's what happens. He's a sniper who fixes all the problems.
Yep, including Billy the Kid, who
Yeah.
the one thing we know about his powers is that he takes bullets like a boxer takes punches. They've established multiple times bullets don't kill him, and then they just kill him with bullets.
Yeah, that's it for him.
And and it's just like, huh. So okay, like you just all right, and then they do stake him, but like
sure for extra dead. Yeah,
yeah, but they show him multiple times just not even flinch at bullets. He runs into the bullets. And then his weakness, also bullets.
Yes. Bullets at the right time in the run time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a fuck you to the audience. Like, what an amazing fuck you.
Yeah.
Of just like, we don't care. We just don't care.
So,
like that's what they're saying.
So I think, again, I don't think that Uwe Boll is a great filmmaker. But, like, this feels to me very much like the product of the money probably came through for this idea.
Right.
They didn't have a script. The money came through. They had to shoot. So, like, just fucking throw something together. And when you're in a situation like that, and it happens a lot to independent films, what happens is that you're constantly, as a director, having to decide, okay, does that matter enough? Does it matter enough I need to do something about it, or can I live without it?
I think there was a lot of coping.
Yeah,
like I think,
absolutely.
for example, at this point, they're like, we need to kill Billy the Kid. How do we do it? And they're like, well, the Gatling gun. And they're like, yeah, but we established bullets don't kill him. And it's like, yeah, but that's like a lot of bullets. And it's like, yeah, it's a lot of bullets.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Yeah.
And it's like, no, it's not fine. It's silly and weird. Like, I think there's a lot of coping on this set where it's like, whoa, we didn't point out who these guys are. And they're like, yeah, they'll get it.
They'll see their faces. They'll know who they are.
Yeah, it's stuff like that.
This is the thing. It does happen a lot on films where the director ends up having to pull a trigger on a decision that's a compromise, and they have to assess from this vantage point, is this important to the finished film? And a great filmmaker is a filmmaker who has planned enough to avoid the situation the best they can. You can never avoid it entirely, but when they make a decision like that, they're right. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what in this case they were not right, and that's the problem.
No, they were not right.
Yeah, and I've done both as a director. I've done both. I've made decisions that were wrong, and I've made the right one. You know, so like I'm not here to like bang on the guy. I'm just saying this is why it happened. I think that's what it feels like to me. You know? This is why.
No, he's constantly fighting budget, but he's not good enough to actually make those decisions. I think about this all the time. I think about this with people like Neil Breen, with any bad like Tommy Wiseau, where they make a movie, right? And it's bad. And people often say like, "Oh, look how like Birdemic," where they're like, "Look how funny and cheap this is." And it's like, here's the thing. They had money, maybe even a couple million. It's not, the problem isn't the budget. The problem is they didn't know what to do with the budget, and they overextended it.
Yeah, they didn't know how to manage it.
And they do stuff where and they don't know what story to tell. You don't make a movie like Birdemic with a budget that's, an indie budget. You make Clerks. You make the story that fits your budget too. And if that limits you, so be it. You have to be limited.
It's really
so that's
tough,
what's
though.
happening here. Is he wants to make these like grand vampire movies, and it's like, I'm sorry, you don't have the ability. You just don't have the budget.
Resources. But again, he had a $25 million budget and it wasn't any better.
Right.
So there's
because I also don't think he knows how to tell a story that isn't pew 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 sword fighting. Like all of his movies are this shit because he doesn't have you give one of us $25 million, we'll figure out like a good story to tell that's within that budget. And that's a lot of money, like you said. Like you could do a lot
of money. I could make 5 movies with that, and again, I'm not banging on the guy like he sucks. I'm just saying, like, to assess what this means, I do think there's a sense in which time made his situation untenable. Like that's what it looks like to me. But also, you keep bringing up, and I think you're right, that he actually had more resources, and other people have done better with those resources. And it's like, there's also a sensibility problem here. There's who gives a shit about this connecting tissue stuff that you just
he doesn't think it's important.
Right, like who's fucking awesome at this? You know who's awesome at this? Michael Bay. Michael Bay.
Yeah, I was going to say Michael Bay
at the stuff.
I would argue Roland Emmerich is also good at it.
Pretty Roland good Emmerich, at it, yeah. I mean, not always.
Yeah. I would. All right. I guess I would argue that Roland Emmerich doesn't care in a way that's entertaining, and he has the budget to not.
That's
matter.
right.
where he just throws away exposition. You're like, really? That's how we're doing it? Donald Sutherland's going to show up for one scene, explain everything, and then shoot himself? All right, sure. That's
but
bold,
also,
but
you still get the information you need to care if you want to.
in the time, in the place you need it and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, Uwe Boll, like, he doesn't even fucking give you the information. He doesn't think it's important. What he thinks is important is shooting cool, sexy action scenes. The problem is he's also bad at that.
Yeah, I mean, well,
Like,
I'd say
wouldn't
the
it be
action
amazing?
stuff-
Sorry,
the
wouldn't it
action
be
stuff
amazing if he was given like a dramatic, like a really dramatic movie, and he aced it and was like, "I hate this, I hate doing this." Like, what if he's amazing at like art house films and he just hates it? I want that world for him.
I have a feeling like because I think that's who Michael Bay is. Like Michael Bay came out of an art school, and I think he wanted to be, at least initially in his film career, to make these like high pristine dramas.
Right.
And
the deepest film he ever made, I believe, was The Island, right? That's the most surreal and creative he ever gets.
And yet I mean, he's very creative with camera, but yes, as a storyteller, you're totally right.
As a story,
I think he just sort of, he fell into this, like, this kind of story that he can tell really as well as anybody, and that's what he makes. And I don't know what Uwe Boll's thing is, like what he really is. I can say that he's never.
I know you're not.
He's never used the resources in a way that made the action stuff work. He's never done.
Yeah,
that,
you keep saying you don't want to bang him, but like I kind of want to bang him because I don't think he's. I think it does feel elitist, and it's like, who am I to say it? It's not good enough. Like it comes down to like,
yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, it's like we said, BloodRayne could have been made for $25 million easily. He didn't overextend himself. He just doesn't know how to make movies, and I think what makes it, I think what it is that what makes it not about talent, because it's not like, oh, some people just don't have what it takes. It's not that. It's that he's incurious about how to actually make something.
It's the sensibility.
I think he thinks he's great, and he doesn't care to learn how to be better. And that's, I think, what it comes down to, is that I think there's an ego element where he's just like, I'm amazing at this. I think about Neil Breen, who I brought up again, who makes really bad movies. He recently came out with a 5-hour director's workshop where he like taught his art. And it's like, oh my God. Yeah, and he makes his movies are embarrassing. But like you realize that where it's like, oh, he's in some sort of fucking bubble where he thinks I am really good at this. And that's why they continue to make like shit like this, because that's the only way, right? Is you make a movie, it fails. What you should say is, how do I grow? Right?
Well,
people should be saying that all the time.
I don't know.
I think these are people who refuse to learn things and just say, it's them. They're the problem. I'm going to keep doing my thing.
So again, here the other question that we never ask about these kind of people, and we probably should, is do they agree with the standard by which people measure success? So like hold on for a second.
Oh no, go on.
So in his case, and I know filmmakers like this, like I don't his success is I'm getting these movies made and I'm making money doing it. Like I'm doing it. Are you doing it? That's his success measurement, and by that metric it's working for him.
But is he making money doing it? Is Uwe Boll, because we said these movies tank, don't they? They lose money.
But he's making money. He's personally making money. That's what I mean. Like there's a lot of like you know how hard it is to make a film. It's really hard. And he's doing it.
It's the I think you should leave Santa thing.
Yeah.
Where he's like, and they have to pay me that money, even if I do a bad job.
Well,
he keeps saying that. Like, it's that where he's like, yeah, I still personally make money doing these, and someone's allowing me to do it.
That's why I get frustrated with films that are not good. It's why I don't like watching bad movies, generally speaking. Yeah. Because like I'm like, dude, I would kill for a film, and like I don't want it to go to people who don't do good jobs or don't care. You know what I mean?
Well, for me, it's about why. Like Uwe Boll, I think he might think he's Ed Wood. Like I think he knows to some extent people laugh at his movies.
Yes.
The problem is that I mean, maybe you could say the same thing about Ed Wood, is that there's a lack of passion. Like that's the thing is like that's why Neil Breen takes some very tremendous swings. and he thinks he's a fucking genius. Tommy Wiseau, The Room, takes some big swings, and there's like a level of passion where it's like what you're doing isn't good, but you really tried. And there's when there's like passion behind it. With Uwe Boll, it's like the movies feel mediocre. Mediocre is of course the thing that bugs me more than anything. And like I think that attitude exists everywhere from his films to big budget Hollywood films, studio films, which is like that feeling of like, oh, you don't care.
No,
and
this is a business to you, and that's all. Right.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like maybe I'm wrong about him, but his movies reflect that. This like, oh, you're just like you don't actually care about telling a story. You're not interested in this. You're just shitting out these movies one after another, and I feel that in the Asylum movies as well, where it's like they know they're bad, but like that's their business is like drunk people ironically buying their movies, and like it's all cynical. It's just like I don't know, man. Like I'd rather watch a bad movie made by someone who really tried.
I would too,
and really like believed
and also was bad in a way that they didn't recognize. That's why Tommy Wiseau is more pleasurable to watch than Uwe Boll, because I think Uwe Boll is a much more talented filmmaker, and I don't think it's close.
But he has no passion. I
think his sensibility is. I think his sensibility is I like this schlocky stuff, and this is good enough. Whereas Tommy Wiseau is like really trying to make a film because he loves it, and doesn't really have the capacity to do it. At least not at that time. He didn't.
Right.
And so that made a thing that was much more pure and less cynical, and I think that was very charming. I mean, you should know there is a whole swath of people who are filmmakers and film audiences out there who like things that are dumb and confusing and brainless and schlocky. Like that exists.
One of them, obviously.
Nah, no, you're not, man. No, you're not. You watch so many more films than just that. There's a lot of people who and I don't mean this in a pejorative way. They love to get together with their friends, and maybe get high or whatever, and watch something very, very dumb they can laugh at, and that's all they watch. And this fits the bill, right?
See, I don't think it completely does. I think it does sometimes, but then there's long stretches. I guess that's when you talk over the film, and you don't care.
Right?
Yeah,
yeah, because it's not.
It's just there's not enough visually here.
No,
that is also entertaining. It's kind of just like the most entertainment I got from this was like, why is this the way it is?
Yeah,
not like, oh my God, look at that wild thing that he did. You know what I mean? Like. There's nothing over the top here. There's no Nicolas Cage shit.
No,
it's not.
Yeah.
It's not bad in a fun way. This feels like the kind of movie someone would put on for that intention, and then they get halfway through and they go, "Let's watch something else." Like that's what that feels like.
Right. It's just
because
I
think it's missing.
Yeah.
It's missing that passion. Like that's the thing. It's missing. I think for those movies to work, there has to be some level of like. The people involved giving a shit a little bit.
I think that part of it is that it's hard for us to get invested in it because it doesn't do the narrative work necessary for us to track the journey. So we check out on it. Like again, like that connective tissue is really the difference between something like Face Off or a Michael Bay film and a BloodRayne. Right? Like I know that they're different in terms of magnitude and budget and artistry, but really the difference between them is that this is a bad movie made by somebody who understands what you need to know when, and therefore is a professional director. And this is a film made by somebody who doesn't know what you need to know when, and therefore you don't care about it, and he slowly gets less and less money for his films.
Yeah.
You know, that is the big difference. It's the mechanical, how does a story work? It's almost a writing sensibility.
Oh yeah.
You know?
No, for sure. It's the specific beats versus the broad strokes, where you look at like something like Face Off and you're like, this is stupid. But like the person who's directing it knows how to direct. The writing is adequate. There's still many plot holes in Face Off.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Where it's like the performances are adequate.
Right.
Or the performances are people who are like, I'm going to go over the top because this is bullshit, this script. Whereas this is just like the script itself, honestly, I think
was
the
an
script...
afterthought.
Yes, but you could take the script and make it over the top with the right performances and the right directing. And like if these scenes at the end were awesome in some way, you know, like if heads were popping you know? And it was like, there's a way to take this shitty script and make it entertaining in the action and in the moment.
Give it to Edgar Wright. I mean, honestly, like that's a guy who I think is perfect at what Uwe Boll is trying to do here. You know what I mean? Like trying to making interesting, tense action stuff with like nonsensical reasons behind it. He's perfect at that. He would never work on a script like this, but imagine he was forced to, right? Like you chain him to the camera or whatever, and say you gotta work with the script. He'd do a great job.
I would love to make a reality show where you force like good directors to do shitty movies. Get Spielberg on this.
Careful, Dave, because you're gonna put it in the world and it's gonna suddenly exist.
I want it to exist. I've wanted it to exist for a while. We never finished talking about the fucking.
We're never gonna finish, Dave.
I just noted they kill him and then the kids come out and again the parents don't care that half of them are dead. They don't grieve and then
they give each other a hug that's like, oh, you were on vacation. It's nice to see you again.
She literally says Sally didn't make it and the mother goes, I know, sweetheart. And my thought is, how do you know? How do you know that?
Right.
And why don't you care?
Right.
She's like, I saw the scene. We're actors, honey. It doesn't matter. We're acting in the scene. It's fine. Don't worry.
Have 5 minutes until rap, sweetheart. That's all there is.
Yeah.
You know? It's very
BloodRayne.
It's very thrown together for sure.
Yep. The writer becomes the sheriff.
Yes,
for no reason.
They deputize the fucking writer at the end. He's the sheriff now.
And he's not good. He hasn't shown any bravery or ability to be a sheriff.
No, he ran back inside because of the violence.
Yep.
He chickened
out
again.
And they're like, you did it. You did it. You're the sheriff now. And it's like, really? And then BloodRayne leaves. That's the movie.
It's like putting Benedict Arnold back in charge of the colonial army. It's like, well, he can't do that. That's the worst person.
Why would he do that?
You know, like maybe you might want to try recruiting. Send a telegram looking for sheriff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
don't just grab the first person you see.
Yeah. Like, I mean, this guy can't do it.
Yeah.
You know?
It was literally them standing there like, we need a sheriff. How about you?
I mean,
are you interested? I got nothing to do.
Yeah, he barely won the election over one of the children that was separated.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. That's it. You know?
It would have been better if one of the children had been the sheriff.
100%.
I would have believed that if one of the fucking Weasleys.
Yeah.
That would have been better.
Then BloodRayne 3 would be just like child vengeance. You know what I mean? It's like a bunch of kids murdering vampires for 3 hours, and we would like that.
Yep.
You know?
Why?
Dude, I don't know why you're asking whatever this is. I don't even know why, Dave.
Why anything?
Why, Dave?
No, the child plot is so... Again, they don't follow up on those kids at the beginning. They don't follow up on anything. It's just why even have the kid plot.
That's why I got bummed about it. Because again, I think it was like the calculus was it's a cheap way to get people to like not the kids. Like it's cheap steaks, and the whole time the kids are treated like cheap steaks. You know what I mean? Like anytime
delicious
we need
cheap steaks,
delicious child steaks. Like for real, anytime they needed to up the tension, let's just bite a kid to death. You know what I mean? And it's like maybe don't do that. But, you know, like why?
Yeah. Don't make this movie. Just don't make the movie.
I don't know why he made a sequel. I'm trying to figure out like what the calculus there was. Like, did he make money on this? There's no way. No, right?
I think this is why I'm like, this is why I don't have much respect for him, because it doesn't feel like he learns anything. It just feels like he's got this vision of what he needs to do and what he should do, and he doesn't react to anybody saying this is bad or this didn't make money, and he just plows ahead and refuses to learn anything.
Yeah,
that's what it feels like. Is that he just is like, I'm making movies, and if you don't like them, that's your problem. And they're not art. He's not making art. Like, I'd understand if he thought he was making, like, art. If he was like, oh, they're not for everybody, you know? But he's trying to make broad action movies and seems to refuse to learn how to do that. And just keeps making bad ones over and over again, where the action is bad. And so it must just be that he's like, he must justify it by assuming he's like Ed Wood or something, or he's like Michael Bay, and he's like, yeah, no, they're silly and they're dumb, but they're fun, and it's like I don't know, they're not fun, and they're not making money, so like I don't know how this gets made. I just don't.
Well, would you be delighted to hear that the third film that we have not yet watched had a budget of $10 million?
Wow. What's the budget of this one?
I'm looking it up right now. I'm trying to find it, and I can't find it.
$10 million.
This one really feels like, out of the three of them, this is the one that just, like, I don't think anybody but you and I has seen it. Other than there's $167,000 worth of ticket revenue from the United Arab Emirates.
Oh my God.
That's who watched it over there.
The one we said this in the last episode, but what it comes down to is tax shelter or like money laundering. It really feels like when you watch these, you're like, this one more than the other one felt like a porno without sex, right? Like it feels like the budget and plot of a porn. But there's no sex.
It wasn't sexy enough to give off that vibe.
No, but you know what I mean? It's like
it had the same vibe.
Watch, when you watch a porn, the point of a plot of a porn. There we go.
Thank you.
Is to just get us to the next sex scene, right?
Theoretically, yes.
And this feels like it has the same energy as that, but no sex scenes. That's why I feel like it's money laundering, where they're like, the point of this isn't to make a movie, it's just to get the thing done so that we can have the secret motive. Like that's what it feels like.
Right, that way we can finally get the drug mules north of the border or whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like it's like fucking Argo, where like it's something like that, where they're just like there's a secret motive because no one involved seems to really care. And if there was sex in this, you'd know why. You'd say, "Oh, it doesn't matter because they're just fucking." But there's no sex in it. There's no violence. There's nothing to like. There's nothing to do.
There's nothing to
enjoy.
Ground this film in pleasure. This film had a budget of $10 million, according to BloodRayne Wiki.
So, BloodRayne Wiki.
The rest of its details are correct. So I assume they must have gotten that from somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, $10 million. Its revenue was direct to video. So like,
if you gave me $10 million, I'd never have to work again. Like I would be done. I'd be like, you give anybody $10 million, that would change their life.
Presumably,
instead they made this.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Did you know Billy the Kid is 357 years old, according to?
I did. I read that.
I don't know where they got that number from.
Certainly not in the movie.
Like, is this from like extended interviews or something?
No, I don't know, man.
Like, I also...
Yeah, probably. This feels like one of those. This feels like a Star Wars where they tweet out plot points that it should have been in the movie.
Right. Like, okay, so, like, I know that you don't want to do this, but I'm going to take us this direction briefly, Dave. Like, okay. I also think that the railroads themselves, as a piece of this plot, were deeply underconsidered. Because, okay.
In what way?
Well... Let's think this out. Let's imagine everything that Billy the Kid imagines is going to happen transpires, right? He takes over the town. He vampirizes everybody. Okay, so then what happens is these railroads are stopping in the town, and he's loading them up with vampires in passenger areas, right? The vampires then scatter to various towns all over the city or the country.
You're skipping a step.
Okay, thank you.
He takes over the town, and a reporter writes in Chicago, there's a vampire town.
Right, of course.
The story leaks that he was like, tell the story. Right. And what the government, what everybody would do is, I would simply
let's
not
level
stop
that
the train
town.
there.
No more railroads there, and we're going to surround it with the army and destroy the town. Yeah,
it turns out bullets kill them, so let's just get the army there.
Cannons kill everything. You know what I mean? Giant, like, gut-sized bowling balls that you shoot from a cannon, that'll kill everybody.
Yeah, but assuming for some reason the reporter's story that Billy the Kid wants to be written, assuming Billy or the reporter dies or something,
right?
Go on with the plan as it's supposed to. Yeah.
So like again, we're supposing that like a terrorist cell, because that's clearly what the inspiration here was, right?
Right.
They're going to send vampires off into various cities and make vampire clones and stuff. So
Right.
the same problem remains. That can't go further than, like, I don't know, 1 or 2 intervals before the government shuts down the railroads entirely.
Right.
Right? Like railroads would go. Okay, so those are gone. Right? So then what happens? Then they send the fucking army. You know what I mean? Like, all they got to do is get one of these vampires in a chair, tie him up and be like, where'd you come from? And they find out, oh, it's all from this one city where Billy the Kid, a person they know, by the way, a well-known villain, he's in this town, and they level the fucking town.
Yeah.
It's dumb. It's a dumb plan.
It's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess they always do this thing where they're like, they want to have an army. I would argue this is a lot of movies, vampires wanting to take over the world alone.
Why would you
dumb.
want that? Yeah, why would you want that? You need
Why
food.
would you want that? Yeah, and just live in your secret society for eternity. Why would a vampire that's like centuries old? Why would they care about world domination?
They wouldn't.
They are. Yeah, they're just going to live out all of time. And it's like, what the, like, yeah, and you need them for food. What are you going to use, like, cattle? Are you going to just, like, do a cattle system? Why? What's the point?
Like,
why do you want more vampires? Why do you want vampire cities?
Their best case scenario.
To what end?
Their best case scenario is to become like feudal lords. Like, if they're going to live out in the open, right? If they're going to be like, vampires exist, they got to establish a feudal system, because they don't want to be like, no vampire who becomes a vampire is like, I'm going to be the janitor of the world.
That's the thing, is if you create, I know there's a movie about this, but I don't remember it. But if you're like, we're going to have vampire cities in society, it's like, then you're just going to have to work jobs.
Right.
Like, why do you want that?
Nobody wants
you just
a job.
want, like, you're ruining the fun of being a vampire. You just have to work a job for eternity. That's what you want.
That's
like, it's so
what a dumb
weird.
plan. It makes so much more sense for vampires to guard their vampireness, and
to have like their own little secret society,
right, and then to like make that secret society ultimately, if they want to unmask themselves as being and live out in public this way, they would become an aristocracy. That's what they would do.
Yeah. And you would slowly, if you wanted to manipulate how things work, you do it from behind the scenes.
Right.
You go into you go into politics. You become rich. You become like a corporate rich person.
It would be like Bill Gates being like, "I want everyone to be rich." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, no, it's the opposite. That's not what they would do.
Yeah, they want this power. They would have secret societies where they would just secretly control the world. They wouldn't fucking do this train plan. This stupid fucking train plan.
No, it's really dumb. Now I'd like to consider yet another option that we haven't talked about yet, Dave. And I don't want to prolong this this podcast arbitrarily, but I think it's fair to say that I do not believe that Billy the Kid was from Transylvania. I think there's some version of this.
I believe he's the kid from A Christmas Story.
Yes, thank you. That's the exact idea I would like to bring up and explore. Is it possible somehow that Scott Farkas is playing a Billy the Kid?
I mean, the timeline is he'd have to Benjamin Button.
Benjamin Button.
Benjamin Button.
Yeah,
he'd have to go backwards. Yeah,
that's problematic. That seems like more magical than vampires. But he really does feel Farkasy this whole movie, doesn't he?
He does. He is not. Nothing against the actor, but he is not mysterious vampire. Or maybe in a better movie. Maybe if they had better makeup on him. He just kind of looks, in this, he just kind of looks like the dude at the goth club that everybody warns you about. Where, like, the dude who comes on the nights where they allow, like 16-year-olds into the club. Like, he just seems like the creepy old goth dude at a club that you're just like, yeah, stay away from him. He's weird.
And he's the kind of dude who would, like, still wears cravats. And like wide-brimmed hats long after nobody's wearing wide-brimmed hats.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
He's got those sideburns that feel like they were borrowed from that MMA guy from the first movie.
Yeah, like he looks like Count 4chan. Like, that's what he looks like. He's got weed
he really does.
written all over him.
He really does. Anon is a vampire thrall.
It is that. And again, it's not. you could take that actor and you could have him do a good performance and you could
Yeah.
dress him up.
Yeah.
It's what they're doing with him. It's just like it's like they stress the fact that like it doesn't. It's what it is. It doesn't help that I only know him as a small shitty child. Other than this movie, so that's all you kind of see, and he doesn't like break out of that from this role because this role isn't good.
Well, I mean, he's doing the best he can. Like honestly, I don't even know what else he could do. Like he's working against the contacts and the sideburns and the hat.
Yeah.
And the...
Here's what I'll say about him: he's in other Uwe Boll movies,
Sure.
so he's
taking
like
his work.
Yeah. But like maybe don't
If he can afford that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that Zach Ward is lighting the world up with.
He is in other movies too. I mean, he's in the new Christmas Story.
He's in Postal.
Postal.
He was in Blood Lake.
He's in Postal 4. Like that's where I'm like, okay, well, he clearly doesn't care that much. He just does a lot of. He takes whatever work he can. That's what it looks like. And I'm glad he's in the new Christmas Story.
127 credits as an actor.
Yeah, and I bet he's living because he's doing all these small roles.
That's a lot.
And he's doing TV show appearances, small horror things. Like I think for him it's a job, right? It's just I'm just acting.
Well, that's the dream of being an actor is that it's a job.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do know what you mean. 127 acting credits is a fucking lot.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't think a lot of them are TV shows and shit, and a lot of them are like featured extras stuff. From what I'm looking at, it's just he was on Deadwood.
Who did he play?
Yeah, so I think he's got a distinct face. I see why he has a career.
He's got a great
face.
Yeah.
he can say a line or two in a full big budget movie, and I'm glad he's in the Christmas Story. I hope he's happy.
Yeah. He seems fine. He definitely never.
Yeah, nothing against the actors in this movie.
He definitely was Farkas-y in this movie.
Yeah,
he definitely brought some Scott Farkas to it.
We haven't even who played BloodRayne. Like, does it even matter?
Yeah, she was Naticia Malta.
Yeah, she was in apparently Lake Placid. So good for her.
Okay, she's a Norwegian model and actress. In the behind the scenes again, Dave. This is the thing that will thrill you. She was offered the part by Uwe Boll, and then like it was only like a couple weeks before filming where she called him. She's like, "What part am I playing?" And he was like, "Rain." And she's like, "Oh, I thought that what's her name? Like I forgot the name of the actress, but the other actress is playing her. Oh no, she can't come back." Basically, so she found out a couple weeks beforehand that she was the lead of this film.
That's amazing. And she's like, I better, I don't know, play the video game or something.
I mean,
I better look into it.
Yeah. She was in a movie with Jennifer Garner.
Yeah, she's the same as Christmas Story. Like she's just working, from what I can tell, looking at her IMDb.
Yeah, she's
in 58 movies. Yeah.
58. None of them are really striking I'm like,
I think it's all like, brief. I don't know, and some Uwe Boll. Yeah, I think it's again, it's not like I'm sure they are proud of their work and stuff, but I think there's a lot of actors like this, where they're just like, oh yeah, you give me a few $1,000s, I'll work for like a week or something on this, and like you're making your money, I'm sure it's fine.
It's a great gig if you can get it.
Yeah,
I mean, as competitive as this business is for everybody, when you're an actor and you get to keep working, that's good,
Yeah,
I don't hold anything against her. I mean, like I don't know what the hell she could have done with this role that would have been like, wow, she really nailed it.
No, again, that's why it's like you don't blame any of the actors because unless you learn behind the scenes that they had some sort of hand in the creative process, no, there's nothing. They're just doing the role. They're doing what they're told to do.
I still think that Michael Pare or P-A-R-E Pare. That's the guy who played the angel that was like the best character in the film. That guy was all right. That guy was an all right actor. I thought he did something with the role at least.
Yeah, he's trying.
Yeah.
I would
Dave doesn't
try,
respect anybody. Dave has no compassion for these people.
It's more of this movie where it's like, I think any of these actors are capable of great things.
Sure.
Just not in this movie.
Yeah,
They're not going to be capable of anything in this movie.
Yeah.
They can try, but I almost respect it less if they try. Then I'm like, oh, why'd you try, man?
So by that logic,
You should have tried.
Ben Kingsley's performance is the one that's really lit you on fire from this franchise.
Yeah, kind of. But
Yeah.
Ben Kingsley is a good reminder of like nobody's safe. You know, like
Yeah,
it doesn't
yeah.
matter who's in
Yeah,
a
yeah.
Yui Bowl movie.
Yeah.
It's all bad. So
Yeah.
it's clearly not on the actors.
I will say there was never a moment in this film that was the equivalent of Michael Madsen being stabbed to death, which
No.
is my favorite moment in any of the movies you and I have watched together, I think.
That was gold. That
It
was pure gold.
Incredible. Just
Lazily stabbed, and he's
the-
just sad about
just
it.
sad. It's just like, man,
Poor Michael Madsen.
just really good.
Just like, so.
Yeah.
I need my. Yeah, I imagine he maintained that face, went and got his paycheck and left.
Yeah.
in his fucking
Undressed,
Camry.
showered with that
Yeah.
face. Yeah, just like, man.
Yeah,
You know, I used to be stuck in the middle guy.
yeah. I used to be in Tarantino films.
I used
now
to
look
chop
at me.
ears off, and everyone remembered it.
Yeah.
Man, that was fucked up. I can't believe there's more of this, Dave.
Yeah, the Third Reich one is going to be about Nazis, and it's like, yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know, man.
I don't know either, Adam. It's I'm sure it's after watching this, it was like, okay, the bar, you have to lower the bar. Because when I realized like this was the set that they had and this was the film quality, it was like, oh, okay, I'll be lucky if this has anything to talk about. And I'm glad it did, but it's gonna be real bleak. It's not gonna be a fun ending to this series.
I mean,
This is going to be like Lord of the Rings if Frodo just died in the volcano. That's what it's going to be.
Lord of the Rings. If Sauron got the ring and we just watched that for 2 hours,
Yeah.
like, what does he do? Fuck.
This is a steep, just downhill, like tumble we're going to have.
Yeah, it's
That's all right.
I'm concerned about what you and I are going to have to consume here.
Yeah, me too.
I'm deeply concerned. I don't know what we're doing it in a couple weeks, right? Like we're doing it.
Yeah.
So like, at least we'll have a little bit of time to like wash this off.
Yeah.
Because to date, we're recording this episode before any of them have aired, but the third one we're going to
we'll
record
have gotten-
after something has aired, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so.
So it won't be entirely unspoilt with people's reactions to the franchise.
Yeah, we'll know what people are thinking about
Right.
us.
That's right. And also, it will have occurred to many people by this time that Blubberella is a thing. And you and
I've
I-
already gotten tweets about it.
Oh, have you?
Since recording
Blubberella.
this, yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, people have tweeted at me. For the record, when we talked about it in the last episode,
Yeah.
we hadn't announced BudRayne yet.
Right.
Now that we've announced it,
Right, we
people
announced
have
it
mentioned
yesterday.
it.
Yeah.
And I stand by the I don't know if I have it in me. I just don't know if I have it in me. I also
mean-
don't know if we have the time, frankly.
Yeah, I mean,
but
right, because it's real tight for us.
maybe we can do a special like after the new year of Blubberella. We just watched or something.
Why?
Tom was texting me. Tom was texting me about like it was so funny because he hasn't watched BloodRayne.
Right.
But I got these texts of him like, Michael Madsen's in this, and it's like, yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
Like
Yeah,
him
he
like
was,
slowly
man.
looking through like Googling the movie and looking at details. Like, what is this?
Yeah. Michael Madsen was in it, man. It happened.
Yeah,
We didn't
it
dream
happened.
it. We didn't dream it.
Yeah.
I really missed him. I really missed him in
Yeah.
this movie. You know, like he really grounded it. I like Scott Farkas, but he's no Michael Madsen.
No, he's not. This
You
is
know?
as good as it's gonna get. I can't imagine the Third Reich one. I can't imagine
So-
who's gonna be in it. The best thing about it is it's an hour and 19 minutes.
It's gonna be.
That's the best thing about
It's
it.
gonna be during World War II, right? It has to be, right?
I mean, someone's in it who plays Hitler. So,
Actual Hitler. Actual Hitler's in it.
Hitler. Boris Backel as Hitler. So I don't know, man.
Why?
That's what
why
we're
is
dealing
this-
with here.
Okay. I'm so.
They got back the actress for Rain.
Oh, great!
yeah.
I'm more just like, why is this franchise not even? It's not even locked in a time period. You know what I mean? Like it's not like it's Highlander where it's like it's a story of an epic guy living through hundreds of years trying to like find his destiny. It's not even that. It's just like here's a vampire story that happens in 18 whatever. here's one that happens in 17 or 16, whatever, and then here's one with Hitler in it.
Yep,
Like,
here's Hitler.
they're different fucking genres. What's this one going to be? A spy movie? A noir film? Like a Western's not the same thing as the first fucking film.
Yeah. No, it's all... No, I do get the idea of like, oh, it's her throughout time, right?
I guess.
Yeah.
So do we get
All right,
BloodRayne in
so-
space? Is he going to do it? Like he'll bring it back?
I don't think he's going to do anything.
Okay.
I want you to know that what the second build person, Brendan
Yeah.
Fletcher,
Yeah.
he plays the... did you see Tideland? Terry Gilliam's Tideland?
No, I did not.
Okay, then you won't know the significance of this. He plays the mentally unstable or disabled, man in Tideland who is in a very creepy role in that. And he's an actor. He's an actor. I mean, he was in a Terry Gilliam film, but boy, he was in The Revenant. Like looking at this guy,
I've seen The
it's
Revenant.
like, yeah, he's in all these like kind of good stuff, and then BloodRayne 3.
So he's probably got a bigger role here, right?
I don't know. He's
Or
in
maybe it's
The Revenant. He's
or
in
it's before
he's
he
in
got a break.
Leprechaun Origins, so not great stuff. But,
What's his name?
Brendan Fletcher.
Brendan Fletcher. I need to look at this guy.
I don't know. We'll explore him once we get there. He's also in Blubberella.
Well, I think Blubberella. I think Blubberella might have been being made like right back to back with the third one.
He was in BloodRayne 2. Who's Mueller? Who's the character Mueller?
Mueller. I don't know. Let's look it up. I don't give a shit. Let's look it up.
Yeah, I guess he's played a different character. I don't know, man. Listen, we're just Googling stuff now, so
We're not going to end
I
this
think-
podcast.
I think we're-
fucking.
I think
no,
we're done.
No,
I think
no,
we're done.
No, we're not.
Okay.
I'm gonna let's look at. I want to see Brendan Fletcher's fucking face before I say yes. I agree that I've seen it.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
There's got to be an.
I don't know, man.
Oh, is he the fucking priest?
Oh my God, is he?
I don't know. I'm looking it up. I can't see.
I don't know, man. I don't. They didn't give us anybody's fucking name. How would I know anybody's name based on these fucking goddamn
Brendan Fletcher.
Brendan Fletcher?
If
Not
you've-
cutting any of this out.
No, if you've listened this far into the podcast. Oh no, he was exposition boy. He was the fucking he was jail boy.
Why is he? How is he in the third one? I guess he's in the third one.
Well, he died in jail.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
now he's going to be fighting the Nazis.
I mean, he could be.
I don't know, wow.
He could easily be a meth dealer in World War II. Like
That's true.
Like that's 100% on the table for this guy.
Yeah. So I guess that guy has a career.
Yeah, good for him.
Good for him.
He wasn't like it wasn't like he was bad.
No.
I think he's also in the Last of Us show.
Jesus. Good for him.
Yeah, yeah.
Look, good for all these people. And, good for us.
Oh,
Adam.
if there's one thing that I take away from Ewell's BloodRayne that I think we can all take away from it, it's that like there is hope for us, Dave. There's hope.
Yeah,
for us.
you know what?
This guy
So
is
you know what's
doing
a
it.
great feeling?
We gotta be able to do it. It's possible.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
You know what's a really good feeling?
I'm ready, Dave.
We're never going to have to watch BloodRayne 2 again. never going to have to.
I mean, I try to explain to my family, who, by the way, I saw them last night, and I'm seeing them again at 5:30 today, which is why I haven't heard.
How are they?
They're wonderful. Thank you for asking. I'll tell them you said hello, and they'll be like, "Who's Dave?"
That's fine.
I try to explain to them what I'm doing today, because like they were like, "Can you come out early?" I'm like, "No, I have to do a podcast." They're like, what's the podcast about? I'm like, "Okay, so I'm watching this movie called BloodRayne," and then I have to explain it to them, and they're like, "Why are you watching that? You wouldn't normally watch that, right?" And I'm like, "No, I wouldn't." And they're like, "So is it funny that you're watching?" I'm like, "It is kind of funny that we watched it, but like
Yeah.
it's more funny what we say about it." They're like, "But couldn't you just say funny things about another thing that you like better?" And I didn't have an answer to that, Dave.
No,
I was
it's like-
fuck, I could do that. You're right.
It's like you're trying to explain to a dolphin what an elevator is. It's just there's no language that there's nothing you could possibly do to
They're
explain
like,
this.
you could make jokes about anything. Why make it about the worst thing? And I was like, it's a pretty good point.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I am
People
wasting
would've-
my life. You're right.
Yeah. No, the reason is because there was a pun in the title, BloodRayne. That's it. That's really what we're basing it all off of.
I love that people have suggested like topics and titles for this podcast, a bunch of them, right? And
Yeah.
it always comes down to one of us thinks of a stupid pun based on a movie. We're like, that's it.
Yep.
That's the one.
That's it.
It's so bad. We shouldn't be doing podcasts. Nobody should
I
ever
don't know
be
if
paying
we're-
for us to do it.
Yeah, I don't know if we're good at it. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, hashtag
But
you're good
here
at
we
it.
are.
Hashtag you're good at it if you've been
Hashtag
listening
you're good at
up
it.
to this point. Yeah.
Or
you're good at it.
hashtag,
You're not good at it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hashtag hang children. Hang 5 children.
So okay, let's pick the ones that we're actually going to keep. So if you've watched it listened to this up to this point, it's hashtag you're good at it or hashtag hang children, whichever one you'd like to put on your favorite social media site.
Yes.
And,
exactly.
Dave, I heard are you going to Post? Are you a Post boy
I'm on Post.
instead of
I
Hive?
would say I'm on both right now. I'm just waiting to see who comes out victorious, right?
Because
I will
Post
say
hasn't let
that
me in yet. Post hasn't let me in yet.
I would say that format alone, I hope Post wins.
Okay.
But I will be fine with Hive because Post has a browser version.
Yep.
You can do like bold and underline and italics. Like you can do fonts. Yeah. And it generally looks feels the most like Twitter, and it feels the more like serious and plugged in one. And it has an automatic tip function, an automatic paywall where you can actually like put things behind little paywalls. It's everything I feel like Twitter would improve. Like if Twitter improved itself, it's what it would become more. But ultimately, it's just who goes to the site the most, right? I don't know.
People.
It has a waiting list, and I think it's because they just don't want to overwhelm their servers, right? They're trying to like deal with this migration. But I'll say here on the record, and maybe Post has long been destroyed by the time I say this. I hope Post wins, just based off what I've seen from it.
Well, if any of you are listening to this podcast and have not followed Dave or myself, we are findable currently on Twitter and Hive. And Dave's followable on Post if you're one of the lucky ones who's been teleported into that site. And Dave, do you mind if I plug some things that I do?
No, I was going to say, you should plug some stuff right
Great.
now. Yeah.
I'd love to plug my podcast with Michael Swaim called One-Upsmanship. It's a weekly podcast about the greatest video games ever made. It is an artistic examination into what makes a video game work and what makes it great and what makes it matter. And we cover every genre of game. And we decide whether these games should or should not be preserved on a celestial hard drive of 100 games to be found by the aliens when the planet inevitably explodes, probably after the next Uva Bowl movie. So please check that out. It's available. It's an iHeart podcast. It's available anywhere. If you listen to it but haven't liked or reviewed it, do that. It helps other people see it. We'd sure appreciate it. I have some other podcasts on the Patreon called Small Beans. Called Director Piece Theater, and I'll show you mine if you show me yours, and Escape from the Multicurse, all with the Small Beans Network. Feel free to mosey on over there and give us a buck or two if you can spare it. And Dave and I are planning movies that one day we'll tell you about, but not today.
Yeah.
Not today.
What's your Hive account?
My Hive, thank you for asking. My Hive account is @Gans, Ganz. My Twitter is @TheRealGans. But Trump really ruined that handle, so now I'm just trying to find @Gans where I can.
That's fair.
But people can follow me on Hive. I'm using Hive more than I use Twitter, really. So.
Yeah, I'm starting to. So on both Post and Hive, I am @David C. Bell. That's it.
Yeah.
And I'm using Hive and Post for like fun. I'm using Twitter just to call Elon Musk a silly.
You
jerk.
love beating on him. You love it.
Well, I haven't said it out loud. Maybe this is me dropping this information. I am not using Twitter for anything else anymore.
Yeah,
like
me
no
neither.
cat pictures, only to plug podcasts and to basically point out that the Elon Musk is bad at what he does, and it's fun. I'm having fun doing it. I also want to plug our Patreon for Gamefully Unemployed, where you're listening to this. Patreon.com/Gamefully Unemployed, GAMEFULLY Unemployed. For $5 a month, you have access to a bunch of exclusive podcasts like Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Fox Mulder's Maniac, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and Spiel Boys. We have, if you go to GamefullyUnemployed.com, you can get a link to our t-shirt store, our merch store. We have mugs and t-shirts and all sorts of stuff. A lot of fun graphics there, a lot of original designs, and you should review us wherever you listen to podcasts. And we do have a Twitter @GamefullyUnemployed. I'm going to start adding accounts in other places too for Gamefully Unemployed. So if you are leaving Twitter, you will still be able to keep up with us in the future.
Yeah, and you should mosey on into the Gamefully Discord if you haven't or don't.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's a fun spot where a lot of people have a lot of fun conversations, and they occasionally get bullied by some of the creators because that's what we like to do. You know, and it's a nice community. You guys actually have movie nights every Friday night that people should come check out.
We do.
They're awesome.
We absolutely do. Yeah, and I don't think we'll ever do a BloodRayne.
No.
I don't think.
No.
Yeah, I don't think that's fun for anybody.
No, we have suffered for your entertainment and for your preservation. Hopefully,
right.
Gratitude is the appropriate response. So,
yeah, in a lot of ways, we are heroes.
Yeah, in all the ways.
In all the ways.
In every way. Put a sheriff badge on me. I deserve it as much as that writer did.
Yeah.
Right?
Fuck yeah, you did.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
We both. The movie should come with little sheriff badges.
Oh, well, yeah. Instead of a fucking video game that it comes with,
Yeah.
the copy, like, give us a sheriff's badge.
Yep.
I'd wear it. You would wear it,
I'd
too.
wear it.
I know you would.
Yeah, I'd wear it all the fucking time.
You'd definitely
Fuck
wear it. All right, well, that's enough of this.
That's enough.
Got
Goodbye,
enough.
everybody.
Bye.
BloodRayne is brought to you by the following fantastic Hypecast producers: Mercurial Oz. Driftless wrote Mabel's name in the witch's book in blood. Ombre says, Mabel, step on me. Heathcliff's helping handfuls. A conveniently placed self-destruct button on the top of every baby's head. James Cameron's prolapse locomotive. Snapper car punches God in the dick. At nerd numbers. Like the Lurker. Dracula, the bus-driving vampire. Brookway loves the meat millie. David, the knife boot before Christmas hinson. Grumble Bee. Screaming Horse Pyramid. Look ma, I'm on a podcast. Jay, the Crow Baron says give us a crow emoji, hashtag join the murder. Deborah is awesome, Barbara is great, and cancer can go to hell. Lumino-ultra-microscopic silico-volcanoconiosis anti-disestablishmentarianism Jones. Rosemary's Baby from Eraserhead. Cheese Killy Tits. D7Bs. Breezy Booeasy. Glitteris, CFO of Michael Shannon's Chocolate Factory. Davy, the ghost of East Las Vegas Francis. Oh great, it's that guy. Chester's Prophet. Definitely not Guillermo del Toro. Brian O'Donnell's. Bob Grenville. Stephen. Han Toomey, the confused cyborg. Asking Seven, rest in peace, Michaela, you were the best of us. Evil Ed 209. Menishevitz Multov says economic solidarity is the path to paradise, comrades. Tiger draws Brett Thompson. Raindrops keep falling on my head. Dan Heckroyd. Cody Johnston's time machine noise. Beat for Bagel. Follow viral TikTok superstar Jason Badger on TikTok and buy his new book. If this book exists, you're in the wrong universe. Dale Griffith, the shower curtain fella. The midnight patron, what patrons at midnight. Exploding runes. Andrew Howe, dig the halls with blood. Vincent with a Y. Rev MD. Bootler Bootlerson. Tux. Ricky Cilantro. Norm from Cheers. No one can hear you scream in space, McNulty. Your mom. Nolan's cornucopia of Tubi movies says watch Muay Thai Giant. Jif May's guest station toaster pastries now available at no guest stations near you. AJ. Tip Drizzle. Cube 2 Hypercuberator Mouth. The ghost of Dave. Ghosts are already spooky, but I forgot about Halloween, Thomas. Aaron Burser. Christopher Robert Spots, Esquire. Mackenzie Fuck Shuffling with Willem Dafoe's confusingly large dick chin. Funky J mostly comes out at night. Mostly. Pie Guy. Ho 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 ho.